pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's begin by considering the payroll. Anybody have any changes?
No.
I move that we approve the payroll as presented.
Second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We have the claims against the county. Anybody have any concerns or questions about those? I move that we approve.
I'll second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And finally, we have the minutes from the April 19th, 2021 meeting. Are there any changes, amendments?
No.
I move that we approve the April 19th minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Highway supervisor report.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Everybody doing well?
Good. Thank you.
Okay. This morning, we're going to open all bids and quotes for the purchase of the following equipment: the sanitation truck chassis, a compactor body for that chassis, a single axle dump truck chassis, and a dump body and hoist for that truck, a flatbed ton truck, and an SUV for the engineer. And that's scheduled opening is 8:30 this morning. I have attached forms on the back of this report here so you can keep track of the numbers that come out. And also on the back of your sheet is additional appropriations that we're going to be asking for with the paving season here. We've also heard from Community Crossings, which Brent's going to talk more about. We're requesting additional appropriations from the Mbh Fund totaling $825,000. We'll need $5,000 in the paint line item, $185,000 in stone, $165,000 in bituminous, and $470,000 in highway paving projects. We're also requesting out of the local road and street fund of $850,000. That's going to be distributed with $75,000 going to stone, $235,000 in bituminous, and $540,000 in paving projects. This will fund the seal coat and patching projects along with the asphalt overlays of 600 West, Northwood Village, Ellsworth Road, County Roads 430 South, 420 South, and 170 East. Okay. Next up, we have following a small claims hearing on a non-paid statement for damages and repairs that was made to a guardrail. The defendant is liable for a payment of $1,455.23. We were sent from his insurance company a release of all claims, which we had Greg take a look at, and he recommended that both myself and the commissioner sign this, so I'll bring it forward here.
Anybody have a question? Would you like to review the release claims?
Do you want to go?
Yeah.
While they're looking at that, I think, the 420 sign, I think it's gone again.
Oh, it is?
I looked yesterday and I looked up top, and unless my eyes were deceiving me, Kellerville is still in there. If it was 420 on top of Kellerville, yeah, so it's gone.
One of
Again.
the birds got that.
I don't know.
How high was it? Did you guys put it up?
It's pretty high.
Very high. Yeah.
What do you think? 17 feet? Somewhere?
Probably.
I mean, it's up there pretty good.
You just set a
There's a
challenge
will,
for
there's a
somebody.
way.
Because I drive by there and I'm like, I just catches my eye and I look and I don't think it's there anymore. You guys okay with this?
Yeah.
Okay. Just so it's in the record, I'll move that we sign the full release of all claims with indemnity for the small claims judgment that was ordered.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
I'll sign that and get it to Ann, and then, yes, it would
I assume that.
Do you want Sandy to be a witness? Yes.
So what goes down here?
Well, I guess, okay, I can sign this, and then I think there's a witness for each signature that we do, so, I can sign it now, and we can witness.
Brent, do you get one of these? It's a ACAEC Engineering Excellence Award. You can,
I know what it is, but I don't,
you're welcome to look at it or have it if you want it.
That's the event we attended. Was that last year, year before? We got an award? for
That was
something?
2 years ago for
Years
the
ago.
overpass,
Yeah.
and I was 19.
I think the big winning project was pretty complicated. It had a bunch of, I'd never seen a road like it. So there's some interesting projects in it.
We used to call them spaghetti junctions or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Bless you.
Okay, final thing, road repair status. Right now, we're continuing with base repair on compromised areas for the next couple of weeks yet, with preparations taking place for paving of those areas. We'll be getting that sometime in probably the 1st of June, somewhere around in there. So we're looking at working some of our seal coat projects probably at the end of May, if we get all the scheduling taken care of and all that. So things are starting to roll. So and that's all I've got.
I see evidence of it when I drive out there and hit a gravel spot all of a sudden.
They're getting it.
Yeah.
So I got a call yesterday and I think he was gonna call Nick too. Jeff Jackson called again. Did he call you yesterday?
It was about the blacktop over
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Black.
I just wrote down the note to make sure I mentioned it to Steve later.
Okay, yeah, so, I think both of you met with him a couple years ago, looked at something, and I think the issue, if I remember right, was the roads are real curvy, or real hilly, and it's just an expensive project out there. And that's kind of what I told Jeff, that probably, it may be needed, but it's just very expensive, and if we do that one, it takes away from some of the others. But I told him I would bring it up again, and I don't know, I looked on our paving for this year, and it doesn't look like there's anything going on in that township other than things that are done already. But I didn't know if there was any update on that, or,
I think he was under the impression that they were gonna get a blacktop overlay on it, and due to all the, Lincoln, or leaking dairy back in there, and
Yeah.
semi-traffic and whatnot, that it was justified. I don't remember ever promising that.
We never promised it. We did feel that with the addition of community crossings, there would be additional help for that. However, we've taken a hit in receipts and other things, and prices have gone up, so there's a whole lot of, it isn't giving us as
Right.
much
And that's
as
what
we'd
I told
like.
him. I said, COVID kind of threw a wrench in everything.
Yeah.
So,
so is it Taylor Hollow or is it Mentor Road, or do they merge into one another?
Taylor Hollow runs into there.
Right, because one goes east, then turns north.
So which part is he concerned about, Taylor Hollow or Mentor Road?
but it's
He East Taylor Hollow.
Taylor Hollow.
Yeah. Yeah, most of that traffic would probably hit east from the dairy out to 145, but they also run a lot of trucks, like with their manure and feed trucks and stuff. They'll come out on the west side and go into Mentor Road and go out that way as well. So, yeah, there's a lot of heavy loads out there, and I mean, obviously that would be something that would be justified, but for the length of the road that you're talking there, I mean, you're probably talking, you know, by the time you do a binder course and then put asphalt over top of that, you're probably talking every bit of what it would take to pave Jasper Dubois. So, I mean, that's a decision that we can get together and decide on, but that would be a large undertaking if we're serious about doing that.
And it doesn't pay to do it in sections, because then you're just putting people back out there multiple times.
Yeah.
You should either do it or not do it.
Yeah, and I know he's, you know, Mr. Jackson he doesn't care for the patching that's going on, but we are building up the road base that helps hold that, you know, that weight that's out there on that road. So a lot of these areas get taken care of. It would be more suitable then to put that asphalt over the top, but that's down the road. So, you know, I would hate myself to say that we're gonna be able to do it in a certain time frame without knowing that our funds are gonna be there to support it. So,
What grade is on it? I mean, is it a 5 or where's it at?
I don't know off the top.
I have to.
I didn't know if you knew all that stuff, like.
Yeah. I mean, we've got some areas that we are repairing, so it's probably in that 5 range, but it's a chip seal road. It's not, you know, chip seals just aren't designed to handle that sort of weight. So, I mean, if we wanna, you know, begin to look at something like that, then, you know, let's sit down and try to talk about it.
Is Taylor Hollow chip seal all the way to the highway, all the way to 145?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, Mentor Road is blacktop until you come down to the Bird's Eye Conservation Club, and then it goes chip seal on down to Taylor Hollow.
Right.
And I went and looked yesterday, that part of the road is fine.
Mhm.
I mean, from the highway to the conservation club.
We did some significant repair there last year on Mentor.
I guess my thing, Nick, it's your, sort of, I guess supposedly your area, but I think it'd be nice to look at getting it in line in the next year or two. If, I know it takes away from, if you do it there, you don't do it somewhere else, there's only limited funds, but I guess what I think of is, and you guys do a good job of trying to be equitable with different parts of the county every year. I think it's something that can be considered, you know. I wouldn't mind it being moved up the next couple of years, or, you know, one of those priorities.
I'd like to see a traffic count comparison on that road versus others that might be considered.
So I can run a traffic count on it.
Yeah.
But
I guess something that would tell me that it's justified.
minus Lincoln's out there, there's not much traffic on that road.
I wouldn't think so.
Minus Lincoln's. I mean, Lincoln's run a lot of traffic, a lot of day traffic.
They still doing that
Heavy
timber?
traffic, yeah.
Is someone still doing timber business out there, or like a,
Well,
Oh, yeah, there's a sawmill out there, but there's not many
not
trucks.
doing much?
that's Jackson.
I don't know what that is, or I don't know if it is or not, I don't know him.
Yeah, I'm not sure, it could be.
I think that's who we're talking about, I think.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's,
I don't know if it's this guy, but it's his family.
Yeah.
I think.
but that's like occasional traffic, you know, even if they're in cutting an area of the woods, you know, they're in and they're out. It's not like, you know, legendary, it's all the time. You know? So, but, yeah, we can mull that over and talk about that.
Good, thank you.
Okay. All right, first thing on the list, community crossing, as you guys already know, community crossings, we received $628,114.89 for the 2021-1 grant, for the phase 1 grant. This will be for paving Jasper Dubois Road, Division Road, and 575 East. I did apply for 2 projects, 2 bid packets, I should say. Since one was not awarded, I think I'm going to submit in the second round for that second packet and see what happens. Hopefully we can get that. And I can have that set up for paving first thing 2022. We'll have it done. We have it ready to go so they can pay right away the first of the year. This bid packet, along with the other 4 in-house paving projects, we're going to bid on June 7th. I need to set up the time with Sandy, but I'll do that later. I think I'm figuring for 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, depending on what the schedule looks like. So that's all that's going on there. NDOT State Road 56 unofficial detour. So a project manager from NDOT contacted me, and they're going to be closing the 56 for about 14 days, just west of 925 East. Because they're closing it and they understand that local traffic is going to utilize county roads to do it, and they're going to get a normal amount of traffic. They're good with giving us an unofficial detour. Something falls apart, they'll pay to fix it. So by doing that, we do 925 East and Cuzco Road West. Where that stuff is. Yeah, so if you guys approve it, I can need signatures.
Is the right email?
Mhm.
Correct.
Yeah.
You guys have seen
I
that.
looked at the email, yes.
Okay. So I
Anybody
have,
have any issues with the unofficial detour?
No.
I'll move that we approve the unofficial detour, sign the document.
yeah, I need signatures, second page, please.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, County Road 600 West Railroad Crossing. We've got an invoice from NDOT in the amount of $35,099.30. This will cover our 10% portion to install the crossing gates, lights, and signals. And I believe Norfolk will cover their 10%, and Federal will cover the 80%. But I don't know the exact details, and we're in charge of 10%. So I've looked at it. This is a straightforward invoice from NDOT, part of our contract we assigned with them. I do recommend it for approval, but I need you to give us approval before we can pay it.
What did the council approve for that fund?
$40,000.
Anybody have any questions or problems with paying that invoice? I move that we approve the invoice in the amount of $35,099.30.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
All right, last thing, out on Hayesville Road West, there's a resident building a house, and his driveway funnels down toward the county road. And we've got serious erosion, actually going out onto the county road and making quite the mess. I've got pictures. You guys can see what is going on. As you can tell, mud's going down the driveway, out onto the road, making the road really slick, pretty hazardous, especially during a rain event. I've spoken to the man several times. He says he's planted grass. He's not seed and strawed it, but says he has spread seed. We've messed with him several times. Back in March, I contacted him. He told me he was going to get it fixed. There was a resident downstream that flooded her driveway because it packed her driveway pipe full of mud. She went and spoke to him as well. Then on March 25th, I contacted SWCD hoping they could assist. I tried to give him some time to help. I tried to give him about 2 weeks to remedy the situation himself. Called Soil and Water. They went and called IDEM to make sure what they exactly could do. And since it is a residential structure, they are exempt from any IDEM permits or any IDEM regulations. So it instantly falls into a civil matter. Now, like I said, the pipe, when it gets on the road, as you can tell, it's slick. It's really slick. We had to take a grader up there and grade them up through. So I need to know how you guys want to proceed. I've tried talking to him. I spoke to him on Friday. He told me he's going to attempt to fix it, but he's told me that twice already. So
What is it? So there's the.
mud's coming up. I know he's got a house up to the right on
To the
that.
other side.
Yeah, if you flip a couple pages, you see the house.
So is this work that he did or we did?
That's his work. Well, he laid the pipe originally. It was not laid right. I tried to work with him, but just being nice, we were in the area. Pulled the pipe out, relayed it. He had some repair on the end. So,
Hazel Road West, you said?
yeah, Hazel Road West. Yep.
That's the road that just travels west out of Hazel?
Correct. He does have an improved driveway. That's not an issue. He told me on Friday that he had some rock levees put up, and the storm that we had on Thursday, they failed and washed it all out, and that's where we're living on the road. But this is the second time we've had to go out and clean it up. It's happened more often, but it's usually not as bad. During these heavy rains, it's a problem. I did inform him that, hey, it's serious liability. You know, everybody's taking on life. God forbid somebody with a wreck there, we could be in some serious trouble here. So I need to know how you guys want to proceed. I talked to Greg. He said he's going to look into it, trying to figure something out, what we can do. But you know, we just send a strong word letter. Do we actually proceed with doing something? How do you want to go about it?
I was gonna ask Greg what we could do. I'd like to know what our options are. But at a minimum, if we're taking staff up there to clean the road off, we can charge them for the staff. The equipment time, staff time, I don't think that's unreasonable in any way.
I was thinking kind of the same lines that we do soil, or not soil work, solid waste. When somebody has junk board, knows how much time and effort that we have to put into it, and what was that cost to the county, and that should be reimbursed.
I guess another action would be, and here, you know, Greg would have to tell us, I guess we could have them cease operations, but that won't stop the mud from flowing.
Correct.
So part of things, you can probably go to the court and they would probably say, stop until you remedy it, but during that time, it's still gonna be bad.
Correct. That's exactly right. And if he would simply put straw down, which I've mentioned to him several times on the phone, if he would put wheat down, plant wheat, and straw it, get the wheat to grow, the grass would come through the wheat, and he'd have it. But he keeps telling me, I've thrown grass seed on it, it's just not taken, which is, it's probably not. But you gotta put wheat down, you gotta get something to start. You know, it's, as you can tell, there's not much topsoil there. It's a lot of space, so it's not gonna, grass is not gonna grow very low in it. So,
The problem is, he's just not doing what he needs to do. Just judging by the pictures here, this is totally unacceptable.
I agree.
I mean, there's liability and everything else.
I was rather disappointed when
And
Soil Water said he couldn't do anything.
I don't know that we can, because we don't have a junk ordinance in this case, or a road, you know, that sort of thing. But can we just go up and take that culvert out and you know, make sure that mud doesn't get on the road?
Can the driveway permit be revoked? I mean, is there any,
I don't know.
Greg, do you know?
You know, I would
I don't
think
know
we'd
off the top
have,
of my head, no.
I would think we'd have the right to protect our road.
Yeah.
In
You're
some way.
saying this, so how is he gonna get access to his property then,
Yeah,
to remedy it?
but, you know, that's our choice is to protect our road. And if you can work with us to do that, we'll work with you. But if you don't, you know, priority is the road, not your driveway.
Well, and every time we go there to clean out that ditch because of the rain, because of his neglect to take care of anything, maybe we can bill him for the ditch operation.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
suggested.
I don't know whether any of that's possible.
I think we'd be in trouble
Here's
if
the
we
thing.
denied him access to his own property.
Can we write a letter that simply states that this will be remedied? We've already incurred these costs, include those costs in there so he understands what it's costing us as a county. And from this point on, those costs will be yours if this situation isn't remedied. So in other words, we're not gonna bill you for anything that's happened already.
Yeah.
But if it's not remedied from here on out, every time we take a road grader up and grade the road, or we take a excavator up and clean out the ditch, we're gonna send him a bill, and, you know.
Well, I think another thing to look at too is this, given the right circumstances, will and can be a safety problem. So if it's gonna cause an issue where somebody could be harmed, and then the county would be found negligent because of the road being in that condition, then I'm sure we can force him somehow to get this taken care of or fine.
We'd bring him in if we were ever pursued for damages, for sure, because it's a direct result of his inaction.
Yeah.
When I talked to Brent, I looked through our ordinances and resolutions, and nothing necessarily on point. We had the resolution, but again, it would be for informational purposes for him. We could do a letter to him stating, similar to what Nick said, here's where we're at. We're asking you to stop and remedy the situation, otherwise we can take additional matters if we need to over across the street.
So this could have been a situation if we did that motorcycle thing where people putting clippings. This is a similar issue where by their action or inaction, they're making unsafe conditions for the public.
I think that's our biggest concern.
But I don't think we don't have anything in that realm yet. And then I guess in that letter, I like your idea, maybe, had we charged you for the last time we were here, it would have cost you $400, or whatever the amount is, $400. Next time we will charge you for this amount. Just to give them an idea of, well, that $400, maybe I could put up something. Because normally in a job that we would do or anybody would do, they put the retention thing, right?
We put silt fence in, he's got, and that's the other thing that's frustrating, and I've told him, I spoke with him about this too, is he's got, I don't know if it's in any of these pictures at all or not, he's got silt fence, but it's way up on a hill. It's not,
Where it needs to be.
yeah.
Yeah, I see it up there.
He's got silt fence up here.
So it needs to be here, right?
Right to your own, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it.
Okay.
That's the
You
end
put-
point.
Yeah, silt fence you put in the bottom of the hill, that's just what you do with it. So, it's been spoken to, you know,
It'd be cheaper for them probably put the fence there than for us to come out with more time.
here for us, they'll seed and straw, you know, we can seed and straw and let's get it done, you know. Spend a couple hours mulching it up and let's go.
I guess otherwise we could take, have you had a chance to look at this? What our other options would be, other than a letter and,
Not pass our own ordinances and resolutions as far as what our next step would be, pass the letter.
would the, I guess would the county take a civil action against an individual?
According to soil and water, we could, because the IDM has no regulations the same as civil, or residential structure. But we do have the ability to file a civil suit with them. I didn't know if we really wanted to go that route yet, you know, we.
That would be
not-
the first step.
Yeah,
I would agree. I mean, typically, I don't know that we want to be suing our taxpayers, so if it's something we can remedy, but knowing that here are the options that we're willing to pursue in the event we can't get this taken care of, one would be a civil suit. One could be talking to our neighbors here, and see if there's any sort of criminal action that would be allowable or not. But I do know it's 8:30, getting off point on
Yes.
my end, so.
Okay, so I think you have some guidance from us, please. Commissioner Brown, if you have anything final to add to that?
No, I just, like I said,
Right.
it's unacceptable and it needs to be fixed. When we're in.
Okay, being 8:30, we have equipment bid openings, and the county attorney will do that. If you want to see. Sure.
Sorry about that.
It's like you don't want me to get in there.
Sealed, mission accomplished.
You know, those, tax bills.
I didn't try to find out who didn't pay the name. Why did you leave that? So this is
Settings for all sanitation. I like to separate these out and do it in category.
Dan, I worked for,
What is that, but I don't know.
no,
This is a flat there, so that's why we need to go. This chassis here. And then that should be-
All right. So we have a bid from Sternberg Incorporated for a sanitation truck and compactor. I got $72,815 less a $500 trade-in allowance. Bid price equaling then $72,315. Keep that check.
That's a chassis from.
That didn't include the compactor body?
No.
No. Just the chassis?
Yes.
Okay. This is from Ruxer Ford Lincoln on the compactor truck chassis bid. A bid of $68,700. Less the trade-in of $750 for a total of $67,950.
Oh, that is.
That's all of them for the chassis. So that's the compactor body.
Do that one next. Just the one for the-
Yeah.
Bid for a compactor body from Pyramid Equipment Inc. out of Rolling Prairie, Indiana. Flat price of $83,225. No trade-in allowance on that one. $83,225.
And that's the only bid on the body. Okay. Now we're doing the single axle.
That'll be fine.
Well, that was the
Or
first.
two with the chassis, this one with the bottom.
Okay, got it.
Are you ready? Next up is the single axle dump truck chassis. This bid is also from Sternberg Inc. in Jasper. There is a bid of, the price for the truck, $72,046.76. Trade-in allowance of $15,500. Bring the total to $56,546.76.
Truck chassis from Rupture.
Dump truck chassis from Ruxer Ford, Jasper. Price of $67,900, less $2,500 for a trade-in, total $65,400.
Final bid on the chassis. Now we've got the dump body with the hoist.
From Mbh out of Madisonville, Kentucky.
$14,704.62. $14,704.62. Next one is from Elper's Truck Equipment out of Evansville, Indiana. $14,818.67. 14,818.67.
All right, that was the last of the dump bids. Now we're looking at the SUV.
For a full-size 4x4 SUV, this is from Sternberg Ford out of Dale. Price of $42,537.66, less $4,000 for trade-in. Total of $38,537.66.
Trade-in was 4,000.
4,000 even, yes.
What was the first number? I'm sorry.
42,537.66.
Okay. That's it. I wrote down 67. That's where we at.
Now, Leaders might have something in there as well. He doesn't say.
Yes. There's also a quote from Bob Leader Motors for a full-size 4x4 SUV. A $46,200, less trade-in of $5,000 for a total of $41,200.
Okay, so they did submit that as well.
That's the last one we're doing.
Yeah.
Okay. This is our last item, right? The last item is for a flatbed ton truck. I have a quote from Sternberg Ford. $58,477, less trade-in of $20,000, equals $38,477. We also have one from Bob Leader Motors. $50,000. Plus a trade-in of $21,000, and that equals $29,000.
That was for the bed and the plow. I think there was an attachment or compliance. Okay.
That it?
I believe it is.
Okay.
I want to thank all the vendors for submitting a bid for our equipment for this year. And we'll look these over and check for, make sure everything meets our specifications and take them under advisement. We'll have a decision for the next meeting.
Any questions or comments from the board? Move on to the next meeting. Okay, thank you. Carla, would you like to come up regarding the operations manager position?
Yeah, I think Marky was gonna come over too, so let me just talk over there real
Okay.
quick and make sure. What did you say,
While we're waiting on Marky, this is, I don't know, this is on the agenda, is it anywhere, WCH request? So WCH gave a request from Spencer County EMS. It states that they periodically respond to calls in Dubois County and they're interested in obtaining our GIS layers in exchange for their GIS layer. I thought it sounded reasonable. I'm in favor of moving forward, but if anybody has any discussion on that? Yes, hearing none, I move to be approved the data exchange agreement.
I'll second.
Yeah, first and second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you.
Carlos Striegel Winter, the Dubois County Solid Waste Management District. We have been discussing, our process center manager is retiring, and we have been discussing a classification change in that position. Well, a name change and some more supervisory duties and administrative duties, which after the folks on the classification committee met, decided that that would change that from an LTC 4 position to an LTC 5 position. And so I think I'm here to ask for the commissioners to approve that classification change. If you need more information on that.
I don't know, yes, I was part of that meeting, and we discussed the LTC 5 versus LTC 6.
Okay.
You know, they were, that position was an LTC 4 before, which is certain truck driving abilities and other, I'm gonna say a little bit lower level skill than what some of the LTC 5s are, for example, at the garage and that sort of thing. But it's going to now move to a position that has more supervisory roles in it. And then we looked at the garage, and some of those were LTC 6, but they were the skilled labor, the more skilled, you know, the truck driving, machine operating abilities, along with the supervisory roles like our foreman, bridge foreman, and district foremen, and that sort of thing. So we thought that didn't fit either. So it, you know, we settled on the LTC 5, even though the operating skills needed are not what they're needed at the garage. It has supervisory roles accompanied with it. So we felt like that was the best category.
So who else was on there with Charmaine?
Charmaine, Craig was there, Marky was there, Sandy there, I believe Sandy was there.
So what does it mean, dollars and cents wise?
Well, I don't have here, let me bring this up. I can give you what,
An LTC 4 is 1592 to 2016, and a LTC 5 is a 1804 to 2122
2122?
for a max.
So what was the retiring person, what range were they at?
So, he is at 1789. So what we were thinking of is, increasing that to a $20 max for, you know, the remainder of this year as a $20 max. But the range is the 1804 to 21, whatever it was.
So you've been interviewing somebody, you have somebody in mind, if you'd like to be able to offer them the job at $20 an hour.
Yes, we have interviewed several applicants and are sort of on a second round, so, yeah, so we do, yes. And have really qualified folks, I mean, Mark has been.
Yeah, we were blessed again with several great applicants, and we did initial interviews, and we've narrowed the field down to have like a top three, and we've got some different projects we're working on with those folks in the round two into this week, so.
So Commissioner Brown, you're probably in favor?
Yes.
You're with this?
Yes, I think it's the way we want to move forward.
Yeah, I think it makes.
We agree with the job description change, and the additional supervisory roles, administrative roles that this person will take on, then I think it's the right place to put it.
I would agree. And as far as the pay, is there enough pay there to start the person at this amount, since we budgeted for the other amount?
Yeah, so basically with it's kind of complicated with the solid waste management district, all of our wages are all in one line item, you know, as you guys know from looking over that, being on that board. So we should have enough to cover from what we have budgeted. There may be an additional appropriation. I just need to look at those numbers a little bit better. It would not be a very large amount. If we're looking at about $2,500 more for the year, for this year. And so we should be able to, there just may be, depending on the way it's done in the county, and Sandy was kind of looking at that a little bit too, so.
We will need the council will need to do an amended to salary ordinance to give the increased.
Yeah, that's what, okay. And do the commissioners need to approve that too? That's straight. So we'll go to council after this then too. So,
Is this a 35 hour position?
yes,
And was your committee okay with that, or did you consider it? As opposed to 40 hour?
I don't think we.
all of our positions have always been 35 hours in the solid waste district, so.
Okay.
And it's an hour, you know, it's a per hour,
Right.
it's not salary, so.
Okay. Well, you make that motion?
Yes, I'll make a motion that we, based on the new job description, that we move the classification, of wage classification from an LTC 4 to an LTC 5. And do I include the salary along with that? I don't think I do. Okay.
Yeah, we have a motion. Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Anything else?
Thank you, guys. I don't think we need to, Sandy, we don't need to do anything else with that. We just need to go to council now. Is that right? As far as, okay. All right. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We're real excited about the applicants and the position. So thank you.
And we have our next meeting coming up in May.
Solid Waste District,
Solid
May. Yes, third Monday in May. Yes, yeah. Yes.
So-
When is that?
So our next
15th?
Our next commissioner meeting will be
Yes.
preceded by,
17.
Right.
solid waste.
Yes.
Ms. Winholt, is there anything else from the engineer's report? Do you feel like you have
Nope, I'm good.
Right.
I'm covered.
sufficient guidance on the erosion issue?
Good.
Okay. We're a little early for the 9 o'clock, so we have an emergency declaration here that the county attorney put together for us. It would extend the emergency declaration until our first meeting in June, which would be June 7th. Anybody have any discussion on that? Thoughts?
No.
I did mention to him, the attorney, beginning of the meeting, that I think the state of Indiana's ends at the end of May, but, you never know what they will do. I don't have a problem with ours being to our next meeting, and we can make a determination at that time. So I'll move that we approve the local disaster emergency declaration extension.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. There's several copies there to sign. Pardon me?
I said, I'll never be so glad when something's done. I've been hearing this thing
Oh,
for
yes,
years.
I hear it. Next item, miscellaneous item I'd like to discuss is a local elected officials agreement. This is with the workforce board. If you remember, this is a board that Mayor Spinner was appointed. There has to be I think basically the options would be one of the mayors or one of the commissioners set on the board, and Linda from the workforce board contacted me and said, hey, we never replaced Mr. Spinner whenever he moved on. So we had a vacancy on the Grove Southwest Indiana Workforce Board, and I said, if the mayor of Huntingburg is happy to continue serving in that capacity, I don't think our board would have an issue with that. And I contacted Mayor Schwinghammer, and he was fine to serve on it. So we have to sign a document agreeing that he will be our representative. Does anybody have a problem with that?
No, I don't think so. He's okay with it, and the board's okay with it.
So I'll move that you want to look at this. I don't think it needs, I think it just needs a single signature from one of them.
It's the what appointment?
The official name is the Grove Southwest Indiana Workforce Board.
That could work. That work one.
Believe that's part of it, yeah. Did you make a motion to approve
One
that?
appointment probably did, no?
I don't know if we did or if we
I
didn't.
don't
think we did.
If we
No,
didn't,
I
we
don't
will.
think we did, no.
Yeah, I think he started to and then decided to pass the papers over for everybody.
I move that we select Mayor Schwinghammer to be our representative on the board of Grove Southwest Indiana Workforce Board.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Okay, it's 9 o'clock. We can begin the health insurance claim discussion. Marky or, I don't know, John.
We're joint, yeah, we're tag teaming it.
All right.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning, how's everyone?
Fine, thank
Good.
you.
Hard to believe that we're talking about 2022 already. However, we are 6 months into the plan here as of a couple days ago. So we will, wanted to just kind of talk to you this morning about the wellness plan because as you know, biometric screens are coming up and we kind of wanted to be able to tell employees what to expect for 2022. So been working with Marky on looking at different options for our wellness. And if you'll look at the very top section of what we handed you, on the left-hand side is the plan that you have today. You have a $500 individual deductible with a $1,250 individual out-of-pocket maximum and a $750 family deductible with a $2,500 out-of-pocket maximum for people that go through the health screening. If you do not go through the health screening, you have a $750 deductible for an individual, so really just a $200 difference. And what our proposal for 2022 would be is that we ratchet that up, and we would have, for people that did not participate in the health screens, they would move from a $750 deductible up to a $900 deductible with a $1,650 out-of-pocket maximum. And then for families that did not go through the screens, they would have an $1,150 deductible with a $2,900 family out-of-pocket maximum. And again, those are increases in all categories by $150 for people that are not participating. In addition to that, we would like to propose an increase in premium contributions for those people that are not participating. So today there is no premium differential, there is only the deductible differential in your plan. We'd like to add to that, not only a bump in the deductible, but a bump up in premium. So today for single coverage, there's a $12.50. We would like to move that up to $20. And then family is $31.25 today. We would like to move that up to $46.25. Again, this only impacts people that are not participating in the wellness screens. If they are participating in the wellness screens, there would be no change to contributions or to deductibles for 2022. So people that are participating would feel nothing from this. We would just be encouraging more people to participate through plan design and through premium contributions.
How many people aren't participating in the health screen currently?
Do you have that number?
I do not have that number handy. It's probably roughly around, I would say, 10 to 15, just off the top of my head. However, all new hires would come in the non-wellness category. So basically anybody after the health screenings are over in the month of June would fall into non-wellness into 2022.
And just getting, any more of just getting the health screening isn't enough. It would be, you look good on the health screening or you do the alternatives.
Correct. Yeah, you still have to meet that 3 to 5 criteria, and then we have a long list of reasonable alternatives for anybody that doesn't meet the 3 to 5 on the screen, where they can still get the wellness discount.
So I do want to point that out. Marky mentioned that if somebody hires, let's say in October of 21, if someone hires in October of this year, they would pay the increased contributions and have the $900 deductible until they've gone through the wellness screen in 22. So their change would occur January of 23. That is pretty standard with what most companies do. Because wellness is only really done once a year for most companies. So therefore they would pay a higher premium until they were able to go through the wellness program.
And that's our current practice right now, is how we have set it up.
I don't have an issue with it.
No, I think it's a good plan.
Commissioner Brown?
No, I don't. I don't either. The only thing I hadn't considered was new employees. I guess that just escaped me that we're doing that now.
Yes, yeah, it's our current practice now.
You know, and that, and to your point, that's pretty well standard in industry. I guess I'm okay with that.
Then after 9 months or whatever your time frame is, then you get a bump. I mean, it feels like you get a bump in pay because you're.
Correct. I mean, that's actually a good thing for them. And to be very honest, $20 a week for the plan as rich as your plan is still a really good deal for even a new hire if they were comparing benefits with other employers.
So we're gonna have to do different categories then for different plans off their payroll.
On payroll, the only change to payroll will be you'll have a non-wellness category. Right now you got medical, employee plus one, medical, family. Now you have to put in 3 other codes, medical,
We'll have
non-wellness,
to manage them
employee.
when they switch.
Correct. And that'll only occur during the open enrollment timing that I'm making all the changes. I'll get Memorial gives me changes. I've talked to UGS with TPA, so same thing, I'll just take that same information, give it to payroll for the change. So yeah, we'll have to add 3 new payroll codes.
Are we okay with keeping our premiums as low as they are? I think in the 5 years or 4 years that I've considered it, we had to pay 1 year maybe, a small increase. And what's it look like if we're Kimball, Jasper Engines, we're a regular private entity? What are people paying there
For
for their
health
weekly
insurance plan,
contribution to get a plan with this low deductible? They probably don't offer it.
But they get paid.
Yeah. Your plan would not compare from $12.50 a week. They would pay substantially more, some as many as 3 times that much. That said, your pay scale would be lower than the pay scale in private industry as well. So what I could do is look at the percentage of average pays versus, we just released our Indiana data for last year's, for all of our Gallagher accounts in Indiana, so we could tell you kind of as a percentage of payroll, what other companies are paying. My guess is if you look at your percentage of payroll, you're probably in line, but only because your pay scales would be lower than those in private industry.
Well, then we'd also have to provide other options like a high deductible HSA account or something.
Well, I can compare just PPOs for comparative purposes, but yeah, other companies would have multiple plan designs. Like we have some here that have as many as 4 plan designs, including an HSA or qualified medical plan, and then 3 different PPO plans with different deductibles. In other parts of the state, we're seeing more and more narrow networks where we're driving utilization. I think that's coming to this market. It's not quite here yet, but I do think there are some initiatives going on to drive even outside of Patoka Valley to centers of excellence and lower cost providers. I think Patoka Valley's got that initiative going right now as well. So I can look at that. I will tell you, as I mentioned, we're 6 months into the plan year, so I will be asking to come in next month and do your 6-month plan review. If I'm looking at your plans and comparing 2019, the first 6 months of the last plan year to the first 6 months of this plan year, our costs are up about $278,000. However, we're down the first 2 months of 21 over the first 2 months of 22. We were $311,000 higher in October, November, and December of 20 than we were in those same 3 months in 2019, which is why we had that shortfall last year as well. Our claims the last 3 months of last year were as high as they've ever been for a 3-month period. Now they've come down. That could be a number of things. It could have been COVID and people were waiting and did it all at the last minute. But our claims in those last 3 months were $311,000 higher than they were the prior year. Again, this year, the first 2 months, we're down almost right at $90,000 over where we were the first 2 months of 2020. So once I see the April data, which I'll have in a couple of weeks, then I'll put your 6-month plan review together, and we might want to talk about premium contributions. I can bring that back with the 6-month review. And then we would still need to have that for communication with the employees when we do the health screen announcements.
So that way employees know, wellness versus non-wellness, what they're looking at. If they choose non-wellness, we'll have to communicate that up front here at the end of May. So that's kind of why we're on this agenda today, and then if we need to follow up in 2 weeks, we'll have to make that decision at that point. I can echo one of the reasons why we didn't make any changes to the rates on the health screen portion is we partnered with Memorial with the Wellness Committee recommendation, and we've got good participation in that wellness programming. So I was talking to Martin, Angie, and Nancy, and I said I really don't want to make a lot of changes to the wellness structure, once it's in the wellness category, because we are doing a lot in that area, and I wouldn't want to look at that as a negative and increase rates based off of all the participation we have going currently.
Anything from either of you?
I don't know.
No, I don't think so. And, I'm sitting here thinking about increasing premium, which I think was your question. And I think you make a good point that we have to balance what our total compensation package is. And we're a little low on salaries compared to private industry, and we can make that up here. And then I was thinking also that increasing premium, let's say that we increase premium $100 a year, we just buy pretty substantial increase. We pay about $300, $350, something like that per employee. $1,250 per pay, right?
Yes.
Employee only. Yes.
Yeah. So you're looking at $20,000, $30,000 revenue, which isn't nothing, but when you compare it to claims and some of the increase in claims and that sort of thing, it's going to help, but it's not going to be the driver of what our healthcare costs are. It's not going to really offset our healthcare costs all that much.
So you're asking for consideration and approval of this plan? And do you believe that that's a fine path forward?
I think so.
All right, I move we approve the deductible plan as it's been presented to us.
I'll second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
And the last item that we have is, I've been working with LifeSprings, our EAP provider, and they presented a 2022 contract to us. There have been no changes to service or cost from 2021 to 2022. So I provided Chad with the contract. That contract is the identical mirror from the one that we're currently in 2021. So basically today, we're just asking, can we just renew same rates, same coverage for our EAP into 2022?
What is this due?
That is for January of 2022, but we wanted to go ahead. They presented the contract because budgeting is coming up, and I told them, I said, if we're looking at an increase, I would need that prior to budgeting, because last year they, the initial contract wasn't that great, so, and then we did compromise back to the original one through negotiation, so, and then this year, they're saying we're gonna remain everything the same for 2022, so.
Do you know what utilization was?
Utilization, I did get that this morning. We're looking at 25 total participants in the EAP for 2021. That breakdown was 14 employees, 3 spouses, and 8 children utilized the EAP.
And how many total sessions, do you know that out of those 25?
I do not know. No, I just got the employee count or number count. I did not get sessions on the vote.
So what does the math add up to? So we have what, 200 covered lives times 153 times 12? Is that what we're looking at?
Yes,
Somewhere there.
would be.
So it's still not much money.
Right now, it's, the EAPs is such an important thing right now, and, we've got so many, mental health awarenesses going on, and that they're really, it's a big thing right now, especially with COVID, coming out of COVID. So yeah, Chad, it's roughly, around $306 a month. Based off of a 200 employee count.
And we don't want there to be any barriers to people using it. And if paying for the first few sessions is a barrier, then that barrier is removed.
Correct.
I'll move that we approve the Employee Assistance Program contract agreement that would be effective January 1, 2022 through December 31st of 2022.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
You need that.
I'll give it to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nothing from the ladies today?
Moral support.
We're excited about this wellness. It's definitely, I think we shared this before, that Samantha with Memorial is definitely engaging with the employees, and there's some trust there, which is huge. We're making headway there, and that's huge. Very huge.
Yeah, there's, I had one employee personally reach out to me that's going through the sessions, and, just through conversations with Sam, they went and got a test done, and it revealed some things that they would normally never found out had they not went through this program. And so, that's just one outreach that I know of, the employee reached out to me, and I appreciated that. That's great.
At different locations where Samantha was there, and just to see the employees get excited to see her or open up to her, it's real obvious that there's trust there, which is, again,
Should this be out of pocket right here? It says deductible.
Mark, can you come up there?
I think it should be out of pocket.
I believe so too. It's supposed to carry over this one. So this one should be.
Should that say out of pocket?
If it's moving from here to here.
Because you've got deductible.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
That makes sense.
Yes, that's right.
my year, sorry, Sandy.
No, that's fine, I just,
Yeah.
well, I was trying to figure out which one is it.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have about 10 minutes until our next agenda item. Commissioner Brahms, do you want to talk about the letter?
Yes.
Redevelopment?
Yeah, yes, I can do that. Travis McQueen with the airport put together a short meeting, Friday morning, I guess. And Sandy and I attended, along with Tracy Lori and Mike Kleesner and Mary Leakin. attended. And our concern, or the concern with all of the agencies, taxing agencies, is the TIF district that the city of Jasper is proposing. And not just that TIF district, but TIF districts in general and what it does to the revenue and the, for the other taxing agencies. First of all, the time is short. I think it's either tomorrow morning when they are going to vote on that, I believe, about for creating that district. So, and we really do not have a legal objection that we can make. We can make an objection, but it has no legal ramifications or no legal bearing on the decision. So realizing that, we just kind of decided to kind of put together a letter expressing our concerns with the process and with the TIF districts. And Tracy, Superintendent Laura, put together a letter and basically, and I've shared that with you guys, but basically 3 things were listed in there. We asked the Redevelopment Commission to consider the following requests of the other civil taxing units within Dubois County. Upon capturing the necessary revenue set forth in the intent of each TIF, begin passing through excess revenue to civil taxing units at the 15% maximum threshold as per IC, and it gives a number. When they create a TIF district, as I understand it, they are allowed to, of the accumulated increase in growth, in tax growth, they are allowed to pass through 15% of that to the other taxing units. It's not a great deal, it's a great amount, but it would show some, I guess you'd say, some concern on their part about the shortfall that the other taxing units are receiving. So we're requesting that they consider that. Also, upon capturing the necessary revenue set forth in the intent of each TIF, begin releasing a portion of the incremental assessed valuation to be included in the tax base for other civil taxing units. Sandy, I'm going to ask you to, I'm not sure how to explain what that is.
The pass-through?
No, the pass-through is the 15%. This is upon capturing the necessary revenue set forth in the intent of each TIF, begin releasing a portion of the incremental assessed valuation to be included in the tax base for other civil taxing units.
It sounds to me like if a building within that area goes from $100 to $200, they're saying release some of that extra $100, whereas under most TIFs, $100, the whole value would go to the TIF.
So that's in addition to the 15%.
I would say they're both be doing the same thing.
Okay. I didn't remember from the meeting and the discussion we had in the meeting, I wasn't exactly sure what that was referencing. I agree with you, Chad. That's what it sounds like it's doing. And then the final point there, allow TIFs to sunset or expire on the designated dates set forth in the statement of disclosure. Most of the TIFs, I think, are set for a 25-year lifespan, but they have found a workaround to that to where they can re-up it, if you will, after the 25 years and continue another 25 years or whatever portion that they choose to set on that. So those are the 3 issues, 3 concerns, if you will, that we would, at the meeting that we talked about, that if they would just do that, maybe we'd feel better about the whole process. So, like I said, this just happened Friday morning. Tracy got the letter to us over the weekend, and we haven't really had much of a chance to decide what we're going to do about it or how we're going to handle the letter. A proposal that was just thrown back and forth in the email was that maybe the commissioners sign this letter on behalf of all of the other taxing units if we choose to do so, and simply present it. Since it's not, we have no power to demand anything or to It's just a request, is all it is. I don't know, Greg, did you have a chance to look at it? Do you see any concerns with the letter legally?
No, again, I mean, I think it's ultimately up to those commissions that are approving them. And we're just asking that they use what the statute allows them to do.
Right.
There's obviously the pros to it, like you've discussed. I mean, technically, the revenue stream shouldn't ever decrease with the TIF, but the thing is, over 25 years, it can increase exponentially, and we're not capturing any of that for ourselves. I guess the question as far as us signing on behalf of everyone, it would seem like a joint signature from anybody who's been in the discussion would be beneficial too. I know they meet, I did just check, it's tomorrow morning at 8. The RDC meets in City Hall chambers.
Tomorrow morning at 8
That's
o'clock.
2 weeks tomorrow.
And I don't know that the letter necessarily has to go.
Right.
At that point. I mean,
I think it's better to do it then.
it's better to do it then.
Better to get it in today than after the fact.
So as far as other people joining in on it, I think would be beneficial too.
Yeah.
As far as us being the voice for the schools and.
So I did have a couple suggestions on it. I emailed you a picture of my suggestions, but as a whole, I don't have a problem necessarily with making the request that that there are other taxing entities that will service this TIF area, and that needs to be taken into consideration because the expenses for those entities would go up as well over this time period. Overall, I'm fine with the TIF district helping that area. My only concern with the whole thing is that it's larger than I would be happy, and happy with. I don't know that this letter speaks to that.
No, I don't think it does. We did talk about that in the meeting, about the size of the district, and not only this district, but previous districts as well. And the need for this, is there really a need to make the district that size? They will probably tell us, yes, there is. Because, we're looking at an economically underdeveloped or, challenged area. And I suspect to get the revenue that they need to develop that area, they need to incorporate a larger area. Otherwise, they wouldn't get the revenue that they need. But
if this was to say that they were going to take the 25 acres right around that area and do it, I wouldn't ask for the 15%. I wouldn't ask for them to develop. I don't even think any of this would be necessary. But when you take in the rest of it, so the point of the TIF is that this project wouldn't happen if not for the TIF making an incentive for the developer. But any other development within that area would have happened anyway. And we'll lose out on both. Am I correct?
yes. So being tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, if we want to attend the meeting and present this at that point, and we can certainly request that somebody from the school corporation and airport and library or whoever else is involved attend with us. We can actually put together a signature page, I guess, that would incorporate the three of us as well as somebody representing those agencies as well. I can work on that today and see if we can get that taken care of. If we're good with that.
I would approve you taking that role.
Okay.
I'd be in favor of that, as long as it's not substantial, not hugely different from what's on here.
And I think they would like for us to present that letter. And I don't know if as president, you would like to be the one to do that at the meeting tomorrow.
I'd have to check my schedule out. I'm okay with you doing it.
And I can do it.
I don't know that it would make much difference, impact wise or anything. Since you've been working on it, I would be fine if you just doing it. Commissioner Hofstadter, what do you thought?
I support the letter. I also have no problem with
presenting it. Do my job of doing that.
Greg, if you put together a signature page that includes the other agencies, you see any other issue with presenting it that way?
No, the only reason I thought that would be beneficial is because it affects them a lot too.
Yes.
I think the school's substantial.
I think the suggestion that it just, we approve it and we present it was more of a, trying to get this all done before tomorrow morning.
And that's fine, if that's the only way that it can go forward, that's fine. It just seems, it's not really a legal question, it's a presentation question.
Yeah.
And the receiving body for that over there, us coming there as this board or multiple boards, one of those may carry a little more weight. If track.
I think Travis was kind of thinking you as the county executive could speak for the others.
Yes, that's what it, yeah.
Like I'm here today on behalf of
Yes.
ourselves and these other two entities, there's several in it.
And Travis is planning to attend the meeting as well. Or
I would think he would if we would ask him to be there, yes.
I think if Dr. Laura and Travis were going to be at the meeting as well, there could be a signature line for them on this letter. And if all else goes, second at the meeting in the morning prior to you presenting it.
All right, I'll see if I can get that done. I may be looking you up today for a signature and see if we can get that put together.
Okay.
Sounds good. Next up, we have the Dubois County 4-H Council. Tyler, Kissel?
Yes.
Oh, come on down.
I'm here on behalf of the council, and we'd like to request the county equipment during fair, July 12th through the 16th.
You requesting anything different than your past?
No.
Steve, have you had an issue with this in years past?
No.
Are you okay with doing it again this year? Yes. Does the board have any questions, comments, concerns?
Same as last year,
Same as 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Last year was easier. Okay, just for the record, what are these pieces of equipment?
What are the pieces?
Yeah, what are you exactly requesting so we can approve it?
Grader, loader, and I think in years past we've had a dump truck and trailer.
Yeah.
So I think that's it.
And this is the week before through the week after, maybe that's the time frame that we would be working.
We wouldn't even need it the week before. If we could have it there that Thursday, the 15th, I believe, that would be sufficient for us. Because we're mostly going to use it on that Friday, Saturday, after fair. Well, Friday night we've got the tractor pull, and Saturday we've got the demolition derby. So those are going to be the main usage for those pieces of equipment. So we don't need it the whole week of fair.
Okay. So I move that we allow approve the request of the equipment in coordination with Mr. Berg of the Highway Department. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. It's that easy.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Hey, Tyler, next year, if you want to make the same request and you're the guy in charge, you can just tell Steve and he can make the request for you.
Okay.
I think you probably have other things to do in the morning, so if you want to do it that way, I think it'd be fine. And if we need you, we'll get you.
All right.
Thank you, guys. Hope that's okay. I don't like people
Yeah, no.
interrupting their morning for things that we do as a normal routine order.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody need a restroom break? We've got a couple minutes.
Yeah, I think so.
Brent, we got the ability to go to commercial break now.
Our sponsors.
No, we're our sponsor.
We need to get some sponsors, I can do that, just sponsor it.
I don't remember. You know what Tyler's position is?
Oh, I have no idea.
You said board member, board council board member.
Oh, I guess I'm gonna walk around.
I'll probably just take a break in 10 minutes.
benefits at all.
We'll be seeing a different tune come August and September.
Yeah. Yeah.
So why these random amounts?
For what?
Employee paycheck increases.
You have a lot?
How about, yeah,
That I know. I'm sure it's percentages or something.
well, they're just weird, I mean, they're. 2004. I'm just trying to come up with how they came up with this.
Okay, we have a few other miscellaneous items we can discuss here. I had a meeting with the committee that will work on the American Rescue Plan. Met with those folks last week. We discussed a checklist of things that we would need to have in order to be prepared for when the funds are available, which they should be the first disbursement should be here soon. And we have a list of, maybe 15 items that are things that are under consideration at this time, and I'm certain that there will be more coming in. It seemed like the a priority of the group, at least initially, had to deal with internet infrastructure, broadband infrastructure, and getting an expansion of that within the county. That was, there was no opposition to it. It seemed like it was universally towards the top of the list. So that is, at least at this point, something that we're looking at. We will reach out and add to the committee as needed to make sure we have the correct people on the committee to be effective. We want to make sure that we do this strategically and properly and make sure that this opportunity is not squandered, that we do it for the best long term of the most people in the county. So we will, if you hear anything on that, please pass it on. Otherwise, we will have another meeting with that group next month.
I would just voice one concern about the broadband, that, I don't know what kind of infrastructure we need if we're talking about laying lines or hanging lines. I personally think that the high-speed internet's gonna go way up 5G and wireless. And if we spend millions of dollars on wired infrastructure, it could possibly be obsolete in just a few short years. So,
Can I take this with me?
I'm not an expert on it by any means, but I have to take a caution approach to it, just so that we're not spending millions on something that is quickly obsolete.
No, definitely. And then I'm also on a board with Ed Cole and Jeff Warren and some of those people, and that segues into this. They're having a Dubois County Digital Inclusion Committee meeting on May 17th at Vincent University Jasper Center, and there was a survey done, and there's been some documentation and those things put out, and these are the people that know more about that kind of stuff. Right? So the group here wouldn't do anything that was probably in opposition to that group. So I did email Ed and Jeff this weekend again saying the same thing that I just told you, that we may have funds available, whatever the best use of those funds to get high-speed internet to the most people. Maybe just small towers. I don't know that technology either, but that's just something we'll look at, and we'll do it probably a coordination between those two groups. Hopefully, I think as an economic tool, that's why Ed should be involved, and it seems like that's something I hear from more citizens than a lot of issues, especially last year when maybe their technology wasn't as good as they wanted it to be. So
My only comment, I know you had prioritized that first. I think we should take care of our county revenue first.
where did I prioritize it first?
Didn't you have it on the list of?
Oh, I didn't have those in
Oh,
any
you did?
particular
Okay.
order.
I just want to make sure we take care of our losses first.
Right. Yep, I would agree.
But, again, for now, we just need that very general list that you're talking about
From that thing that
in order to
Mr.
receive
said,
the money.
the way I looked at it was, we could have put about anything in there. It doesn't limit us to those items. It just says that those are some.
Here's what we've come up with so far, and again, it can be amended as times adjust.
Yes.
It's in the exhibit, separate from the ordinance itself, so we can amend the exhibit as needed.
So when do we do the ordinance?
Knowing when I got this information now, I'd say we could consider it for next meeting in May, or you said the funding, I think, was June.
I'm expecting to get the money sometime in June.
Yeah, so I'd say no later than that first meeting in June, so we've got it ready.
The things I was reading was it was sooner than that.
Well, if you're a big city over
50,000.
50,000, yeah.
the government's gonna directly give it to that unit. But ours has to go to the state first and then to us.
So the May 10th deadline or whatever that is, that's either to the large municipalities and counties or to the state.
And then the
And
state,
then the state has another 30 days to give it to us.
so we kind of thought June 11th we may have it is kind of what I
And I believe that
anticipated.
we're we're still 4 months from spending the first dollar of it unless you count the revenue loss. So I don't know that makes much difference from our standpoint. But anyway, I just wanted to let you know that this digital inclusion thing is coming up. If you wanted to sign up and participate, you're welcome to. Either one of you can have that if you want it. I told him yesterday that I would attend unless something happened. I don't know what would happen, but I think it's important. Yeah, so that's
Just a picture of it.
all right. Mr. Werner's here to talk about the Health Department's 2020 annual report. Morning. While you're passing those out, I just have a general question. Whenever someone gives I go in to get my first shot of my vaccine, and do they look at your body type, your height, weight? How do they know how much of it to give, or does everybody get the same amount?
Everybody gets, if they're getting, Moderna, they get 0.5, I believe, Johnson Johnson's the same. So it's the same dose for everyone.
Okay. It's I was talking with people about that, and I'm like, a 300-pound person, do they get the same as one of my bank customers was a 98-pound woman, and she said, I wonder about that.
Yeah, Pfizer, I think is 0.3. We've never had it. I think it's 0.3. Could be wrong, but each manufacturer has its own dose.
And there's I guess that's the effective amount. It has to be this much in any body, and that's for how it's effective.
I guess that's correct.
That works for me. I just
Until they come out and call and say.
Smarter people than I decide that. So
got it. All right, what do we got here?
all right. So just real quickly, I wanted to hand the annual report out to you. We kind of modified it a little bit this year because we have to also submit an annual report to the State Department of Health. So rather than doing 2 reports, I thought this year I would try to save time and condense it into one. So this is kind of a mirror image of what we have to submit to the state. So this is kind of what it's probably going to look out like from here on out. It makes it a lot easier for us to get through it, and we don't have to spend so much time on the other reports. Since I'm already doing this one, we kind of condensed it into one. So just go through it real quick. The first sheet is obviously the cover page. The next one will be your organizational chart, kind of the hierarchy of the health department, kind of who's over who. The second page would then be who's on our Board of Health at the current moment for 2020, and then the health department staff underneath there for who was working in 2020. The next sheets will be your financial reports. This gives a breakdown of the funds as far as the revenues and the expenses. And the next fund sheet is kind of just the report part of all the different funds we have, cash balances, the receipts, the disbursements, and then the final balance at the end of those years. So you can kind of look through those, and any questions you can ask me and I'll try to answer. And then it goes into each department report. So the actual boxes at the top is what we actually charge a fee for. So it gives the number of, say, food permits we've issued, the number of, all those lists. It gives the number and the amount of money we make on those fees. Then underneath, it gives a breakdown of other areas that we collect data on but don't actually charge a fee for. So for instance, we did 174 on-site inspections for septic, and retail food and savage was 492. So you can kind of read through that list and see what we did. So a lot of that could be low this year because of COVID. So we were shut down for 2 months there, and also the inspections were down because we had so much other work responding to the COVID-19 disaster. Then the final records department, that again, the breakdown at the top is what we charge fees for. And at the bottom, we had 817 births and 562 deaths for 2020. And then the immunizations, the first sheet there is just kind of a breakdown of the entire year. So it's the first sections are the total pediatrics, and then it breaks it down into how they pay, like Medicaid, no insurance, underinsured, fully insured, and then it goes into the adults. So the adults plus the peds will be your total patients, and then from there it gives the breakdown of flus and VFCs. And 317 is your adult program, so if they don't have insurance, they will get the 317 vaccine. So that kind of gives you a rundown of that. And then the immunizations sheet on the next page. The top section is the self-pays. So if they come and they have an insurance that our department can't run, they will self-pay for that vaccine, and then they'll submit it to their insurance themselves. So that's what that top section is. And then the section underneath that is all of those combined. So VaxCare is where we do the majority of our vaccines through. And then obviously the 317, the VFC is under that as well. And then the public health nursing, there's currently not a charge for that. So those are just kind of some numbers, what our public health nurses do on a yearly basis below that. And then the last page is just the preparedness report. So obviously March 24th, we shut down for COVID, and it lasted until May 7th. And then, when we reopened, we were on a limited basis to control the spread. And then starting June 23rd, we entered in an agreement with Jasper for the old Brooksters Golf Course building to provide testing. That was with NESA Department of Health and Optum. And then starting October 1st, the state dropped the contract with Optum. And then we signed a contract with Blue Ridge, and they've been providing testing ever since the Brooksters Golf Course building. I believe that grant runs until June 30th, so we'll see what happens when that kind of time comes. And in December, we started planning for vaccine to be delivered in January of 2021. And then the other items is just some miscellaneous donations and some interest that we received on some of our CDs. So that's a quick summary of the annual report. Any questions or?
I think on the bottom of the second last page, the immunizations page, I think there's probably a typing error or something. It says, what did you change for blue lead screening? You do blood?
It's supposed to be charge, yeah. Okay.
And is it blood?
So it's a lead screen. So if a child lives in a home that was, maybe exposed to lead, they can come and get tested.
Right, it's a charge for blood screening.
Yeah.
Okay. And you charge $20 if somebody comes in and they just want their blood tested for lead.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, there's actually 2 typos in there. Nobody caught that before that. Okay, thanks.
And what is the nutrition counseling services? What does that take?
So when the nurses go in, they'll talk to them about diet, how important it is to health, and
when they go in where? When they go where?
To do a public health visit. So if our patient needs a blood draw or any med set up or any service that our public health nurses provide, they'll give them some nutrition education while they're there as well. Because obviously your diet has a lot to do with your overall health.
So does your board approve this, or do you need us to approve it? What is the
board already approved it. I think it's just my duty to hand it out to you every year.
We will check it out, or I will. So we will.
No, it's laid out very well.
And I do have or actually 2 other things. I talked with Greg last week. We're going to be entering into a contract with Athena, so they're going to be our EHR, so it's electronic health records. Greg reviewed it and had submitted his changes. I've been in contact with them. They're trying to see kind of what they can do as far as changing some of the wordage and how we pay. They want us to do auto debit, and we're really set up to do that. So we're still working that out, but I just kind of wanted to bring it up that we're going to be entering into a contract with Athena. I don't know, do they need to approve that, Greg, or?
I'd say if you can get approval from them, the contract states that he has the appropriate authority to enter into it, and typically that we get the board's approval to do so.
So it's gonna provide us electronic health records so we can, take our paper copies out of the file cabinets and get them in there electronically so they're backed up. It's also gonna provide us an appointment reminder, so people that have appointments with us will get an automatic text message or phone call, however we set it up, to remind them that their appointment is on a certain day. It's also gonna give us, capability of having our own scheduler and build it how we want. So currently with VaxCare, we're limited to what their schedule can do for us, and it's not very user friendly. So this is going to help us on that aspect. And this system also will provide us with a billing option. So if we do have a capability or want to start charging for health visits or some other service at the health department, this will give us a billing option that we've never had before. So those are the four main things that it's going to provide us. So, and it's going to be paid for with the local health maintenance, so the state grant we get every year.
And what's this called, Sean?
Do what?
What's it called?
It's Athena Health System, I think, or Athena Health Services. So it's a electronic records, EHR. I don't know if you guys are interested or not, but so far Dubois County is at 29,508 first dose for vaccine and 13,726 fully vaccinated. And we've given 16,303 of those at the health department since last Friday.
13,000, how many on the second dose?
The full dose or fully vaccinated was 13,726. And a small percentage of those are Johnson & Johnson, so that's just the one dose, 600 and some, I think.
So I've got a question on the construction project at the back of the building. Are we gonna use that for anything, or is
They're
it?
using it every day.
No, I didn't think you.
Yeah.
If it rains, versus.
What are we doing with it?
The drive-through, we're doing all of our drive-through, or all of our COVID through drive-through the past week or so. So now that the weather's warmed up and
Okay, so I was gonna say, when I went out, I just went inside. You're saying that next time I go through, I'll drive through?
as long as the weather permits. If it's 20, 30-mile-an-hour winds, they can't keep their cards and
Okay.
stuff on the tables, or if it's pouring down rain and it's coming inside there, we'll be inside. But if it's doable and we can stand to be underneath it, we're gonna be outside doing it through the
Does it
drive.
seem to be working okay for the one?
Oh yeah, we can get it through faster with the drive-through.
And then what, are they supposed to park up in the parking lot for us?
So we have been pulling them up and our drive-through's long enough to be able to hold them for 15 minutes, but now that we're doing 100% through there, we're actually pulling them out onto 12th Avenue, and we've set up cones there along far west sidewalk, and then they're going inside those cones to park, get them away so we can get them through faster. So we're doing about 180 through there in about 5 hours.
Not bad.
So is that average per day then?
It's about 180, 190 every day.
And how does that compare to what you had been doing? Are you seeing an increase or decrease yet, or?
So we're still booked full until May 5th, and then after that, our schedule drops off pretty significantly. It's mainly just second doses. So I don't know if there's gonna be a whole lot of demand. Well, I mean, we'll still be giving them every day, but I mean, if you want an appointment, you can get one right now. So I think, we're getting through the high demand of who wants it now. I think it's just gonna be getting those people that, are still kind of on the fence or still waiting to see the research to get it, the first dose.
But probably at the rate we're going now, we're gonna have 2/3 of people, citizens vaccinated,
If the 29,000,
if they all follow
if
through.
they all follow through with their second dose, yes. Which, a very high percentage are. There's a few of them that didn't get the second dose because they had a pretty severe reaction on the first one, so the doctors recommend not getting the second one. But that's a very small percentage.
29,000 have received.
29,508 as of last Friday, I think.
Received at least one dose.
And to go back to the drive-through, we're probably gonna look at trying to help modified a little bit to be able to use it in more inclement weather. So probably get like some type of heater, because when it gets 30, 40 degrees, I can't have those nurses out there. They can't feel their fingers to try to give a shot. So we might look into some type of heating unit for this fall, because I'm sure we'll be doing flu shots through there. Maybe possibly a booster for COVID. So we want to be able to utilize that as much as possible. And then I'm also looking into put up some type of temporary like windbreak. So something I can pull out, roll out, set up, and then pull back down. Those are all coming that I'm trying to get figured out. We are getting a grant from the state that will allow me to use those funds to help modify that. So I'm probably gonna look at trying to get that taken care of, hopefully by June 30th, because that's when the funds have to be spent by. I just want to kind of, it probably won't be anything permanent, but I just want to let you guys know that it's not going to be permanent to the structure, but might have to modify it a little bit, because it creates like a wind tunnel through there. Whenever the wind's by their cars were all over the parking lot one day, and it's hard to work whenever your stuff's flying around and it's super cold.
Getting back to the numbers a little bit, are these numbers of shots that that the health department has given? Or do we know, are they Dubois County residents? Do we know how many the hospital has given? Do we have any clue as to how many residents of Dubois County have received the vaccination?
This is Dubois County's numbers. So the first doses for Dubois County residents is 29,558, but we've given 16,000 of those. Those could be any resident. So some of our residents may have gone to Vanderbilt County,
Right.
but we may have done some of Vanderbilt counties, or we may have done a lot of Pike counties, or we don't check.
How many you've given, but the 29.5 that you're talking about is a number from the state that reflects.
For Dubois County residents. So you can go to the state's dashboard and click on the vaccine dashboard, and it'll give you a daily breakdown of how many people have had their first dose, their second, or they're fully vaccinated.
Whether they went to Vincent, Vanderbilt,
Yes.
if they declare a Dubois County address, it gets put under our.
Yeah, they went to a different state and got it, it would still be considered a Dubois County resident. Because whenever we fill all the information out in Subtech, it'll have the address and county of residence there. But yeah, we don't only cater to Dubois County. We're all in this together, so we're all trying to help each other. So
Yeah, no, I was just trying to get an idea of, that I understood what that number actually reflected. Whether it was vaccinations given at the health department or vaccinations, people in Dubois County that have been vaccinated.
So the state's website is people in Dubois County that have been vaccinated by 16,303 is what we have given at the health department, but I can't say those are all Dubois County residents. Well, I know they're not all Dubois County residents.
Right. Got it.
Thank you.
That's all I got.
Thanks, Sean.
Yep. You want to talk?
Ken Cheater? Morning.
How are you guys?
Good.
Copy.
Thank you.
There must be two pensioners.
Yeah. Just for the next 10 minutes, that's all. Chris Canice, I'm president of the Dubois County Veterans Council this year. And as you know, got Ken Cheater here with us, he's our secretary treasurer. Last year we canceled our ceremony, but this year we're going to proceed with it, due to the changes with COVID and everything like that. But we do have some requests. So again, it's going to be that Saturday at 10 o'clock here on the west side of the courthouse. And some of the activities that we would request that Scott hopefully can turn off the air, both the fountain and the air handler due to the noise of it. And then just ask permission to have the public restrooms that are open, and then permission to run some extension cords so we have power there for our mics and stuff. And then, as always, if anybody here is welcome to talk to the audience, to some welcoming comments or something like that.
So we've done this years past, and it's always been a nice event, gone well. I would say that I don't have a problem with it if,
I just wanna make one comment. It says 10 PM, is that meant to be 10 AM?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I assumed, but
Yeah.
I wanna be official.
okay, so, I would be okay with moving forward with the, giving permission for this Memorial Day observance. We do require that you fill out a courthouse use agreement. So if it's approved by the board, we'll ask you to fill that out and turn it into the county auditor. Anybody have any questions or concerns with this?
No.
Okay. I'll move that we approve the use of the courthouse properties and the conditions that are on here for Saturday, May 29th, beginning at 10 a.m. and ending at
11 to 12 o'clock, somewhere in there.
until 1 o'clock, no later than 1 o'clock
Okay.
that day. So that's my motion.
I'll second your motion.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. So do you have Mr. Hope's phone number? You do? Okay, so yes, just please coordinate these actions with him. If there's something that he can't do, then you're welcome to get my number from him, and but you have it, so we can find a way to make this work. But yes, please fill that out and return it.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna take a brief break and we'll be right back.
Hey, Ken, there's a Ken Shooter that I know.
How you doing out there? Good.
Much out you too.
Yes,
Yeah. So how you get along with your our property?
good, good, yeah, no, I
have, our next agenda item is Dr. Richard Moss. Thanks a lot. Dr. Moss, the floor is yours. You've got 15 minutes.
Thank you. Well, thanks a lot, everyone. A pleasure. And so we're coming out of this 1 year period of time that I would describe as the worst self-inflicted wound in our nation's history. Just an incredible assault on our economy and the kids' education, our civil liberties and constitutional rights. And all of it for a lie, because nothing we did had any effect whatsoever on the trajectory of the virus. The virus comes in waves, it's seasonal, and there's nothing we can do. All we do is delay it, and it comes anyway, and we delay the development of herd immunity. So I would describe the policies enacted at the state level, here in our county, throughout the country, as again, a terrible self-inflicted wound that did nothing to help in terms of improving outcomes regarding the virus. So, we think in terms of an old medical expression is that the cure should not be worse than the disease. This was not even a cure, so we can't even make that claim. So I would say the non-cure in this case was far worse than the disease itself. So having said that, I want to ask my friends on the county commission here to think in terms of a few things we could do at the county level, that we avoid these mistakes and protect our rights and civil liberties, our businesses, the kids that, down to 5-6 years of age having to wear these masks, even when we know that the kids are at minimal risk of this virus. We've known, going back a year, who the at-risk populations were. And we know who they are. They're old people that are very sick and very frail. And we know that. Under 20, it's like zero. It's more dangerous for these kids to drive their car to the school than to get COVID and have a serious outcome. So we don't want these things to ever be perpetrated upon our citizens again. The lockdowns and the school closures, the loss of the year and all the wonderful activities that we're familiar as parents, that our kids missed out on, the music and the marching band and all of those, and the sports, and then the education itself. Even smart, bright kids, they need to be in the classrooms. And so really there was a great harm perpetrated on all of us. And, all of us, but I would particularly say the children who even today are forced to wear these diapers on their faces. So my recommendations, my friends, if I can suggest them to you, is that we recognize that a great wound was inflicted for no perceivable benefit at all, but the collateral damage coming out of this was enormous. And, the economic and the loss of jobs, the loss of businesses, and the kids. And I just want to say that the kids that lose their, they don't do as well. I mean, even bright, smart kids, I would say my kids, I think they're bright and smart. They did not do well in, this Zoom situation and all that. Now that may be out of your purview. It's more for the school, I suppose. And I did speak to them about it as well. But anyway, I want to protect our county as best we can. So here's some suggestions that I would like to offer to all of you. I think that we can operate in some ways independent of the state. When you have a tyrannical governor who's imposing sweeping universal mandates and executive orders that never end, go on forever, despite the devastation that they cause and for no discernible benefit, enormous collateral damage without any discernible benefit at all. The virus will come, the virus will do its thing as we develop herd immunity, thank God, and the vaccinations, all of that, then it goes away. Nothing we did had any effect on this virus. But look at the collateral damage. So I would have you consider something to the effect is that you and we as a county will not follow an executive order with sweeping mandates beyond 10 days. And will not follow successive executive orders unless it has the support of the state legislatures, the two houses up there, which in this case, it did not. Many times there's quite a conflict there. So in the presence of a tyrannical governor, and I would argue that's sort of what we have, that we as a county limit that effect for 10 days. Now, you'll have to talk to your lawyers and all that and how you go about doing that, but I want to bring it up. I know there have been a couple of meetings here where others have suggested, a sanctuary county for the Second Amendment. I would take it, that's great, but I go well beyond that. I would say a sanctuary for the Constitution, with emphasis on the First and Second Amendments. And, we've memorized all that, but, the freedom of speech, the freedom of assembly, and the freedom to worship, and how they were closing and locking down churches, and even people getting together in their homes when it exceeded a certain number. I'm not sure if that happened here, but we certainly read about these things happening throughout the country. We don't want that to happen. We are defenders of the Constitution and defenders of our civil rights and civil liberties. So I would say that we want to be a sanctuary for the Constitution, including the whole thing, including the First and the Second Amendment, of course, but the whole thing, and that's it. And especially this assault on religion and on faith that went on. I don't know how much here, maybe not so bad, but we heard all the stories throughout the country. We don't want that happening in our county. As I alluded, I would end all of the sweeping mandates, closures, and lockdowns. If there is a 10-day emergency order, okay, maybe we'll go along, we don't know. Maybe they know something we don't know. But beyond 10 days, they must have the support of the state, the bicameral state houses before we will agree to it. So I'm urging everyone to sort of push back against tyrannical governance. Big thing here that I think is right in your wheelhouse, that you do have direct jurisdiction, is the sweeping power of county health departments. I don't think they have the ability, they have a job. They do the immunizations, they can give public education, they can even offer guidelines, but as far, they do inspections, we're in the restaurant business, and, they come around, all right, that's fine. That is an accepted role for the health department, and if you're poisoning your customers, all right, you're gonna get shut down. But as far as universal powers to shut down, lockdown, quarantine, social distance, mask mandates, I'd say, no, you don't have that authority. You can issue guidelines and your suggestions. I don't think unelected bureaucrats in our county health department, I don't care if they have an MD at the end of their name. They don't have, you guys are the ones. You ran for office. You're directly accountable to the people. They work for you, they work for us. So I would get rid of all of these sweeping mandates from an unelected bureaucrat, MD or non-MD, I don't care. They can issue their guidelines, but that's it. It's up to you guys to decide if you want to do the big closures, lockdowns, mandates, etc. I would urge you to do everything you can to ensure the integrity of our elections. I'd get rid of the mail-in ballots. We know what a disaster occurred on November 3rd. And I would suggest that, our state, it was a good state, and I think most of our people have the right idea, if you will, as I see it. But I still think we need to really, if you want to do a lockdown on the integrity of our election. So any thoughts, no unsolicited mail-in ballots, matching signatures, they have to be on time. You may want to close that window of early voting because, there's potential corruption. and has to be on time. None of this thing coming in a day later, 2 days later, you're counting it. Must always be a chain of custody and verification of the identity of the one who's voting. We don't want illegal votes negating legal votes, okay? We don't count all votes, we count all legal votes. So think about that. So just quickly, just a thought, a few minutes here. I think in this county, it's up to you, this may be more of a state thing, but perhaps think about it, that, there's a lot of very safe, inexpensive treatments for COVID that were not allowed to be pursued. And I've written articles about this. I have a regular live stream podcast and all that, and I talked about, and I personally used hydroxychloroquine, for example, when I worked overseas in Asia for 3 years. Very safe. This is more than 1 billion times it's been used. Very safe medicine. But you got these state medical boards who are being pressured by, the governor at the state level. And so, I think you think about it how you would pursue it, but we have the right to try medicines that are shown to be effective, even if it's off-label. And again, hydroxychloroquine, which is about for a 10-day, 5-day course, it's 10 pills, it's about $3. Or you can go into the hospital and get a ventilator, be intubated, and give you a remdesivir, which does not work and costs about $3,000 each time, versus this that does work if you catch it early. And then ivermectin would be another one, zinc, vitamin D, vitamin C, and so forth. Let these medicines be used in our county if you got some basis to justify them. So the right to try, even if it's off-label, if you're getting reports in that it may be helpful, and then at a higher level, they may be negating that possibility because of political reasons. Okay. Just another quick one here, my remaining minutes, is that, I think as a county, we should see people as individuals, not members of a particular group or a race or a religion or a background, a national origin, and all down the line. I think we need to stay clear that we see people here as individuals, okay? And we give them the same treatment before the law in terms of criminal justice, in terms of law enforcement, that we stand by the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, that we believe in the unalienable rights of each individual, God-given. And that's it. That's as far as we go. We don't divide people up into groups. This is a country that believes in the sanctity, county. It should be the country. That's under assault, I would say. But anyway, in this county, I would suggest to you that we want to make it clear that we believe in the individual and the sanctity of the individual based on our Declaration of Independence and our Constitution, and going back to Jerusalem and the Bible and Athens and Rome, for the Greco-Roman influences that we have, that is where we come down on. Well, a little windy here, my friends. Apologize. I want you to have been writing. I don't know what you're writing, but I wrote this. I call it my Red State Manifesto. I'll give it to each of you. And there's more to it than that. I'll let you kind of at least have that just to review it and think about it. I came up with a lot of different things. But anyway, I thought we've gone through a heck of a lot. A lot of bad has come out of the response to this pandemic. No benefit, but a lot of collateral damage. And I want to see that we avoid that in the future. Well, I'm done.
Well, thank you. You're welcome to bring those up, and
Thanks a lot.
We can take them. Anybody have any comments? Anything for Dr. Moss?
Coming today, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep, I'll definitely read it. Thank you for coming in. Appreciate it. Have a great
All right,
day.
take care. Thanks a lot. On time too. That's pretty good. 14 minutes.
You still got another minute if you got anything else.
I do a tap dance. Well, thanks a lot.
You play an instrument?
I appreciate that man there has kept the bagels alive. In Indiana, in southern Indiana. Okay, you guys take care. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Dr. Mom.
All right.
While it's on topic, I will mention that I did hand out a thing from the, oh gosh, I can't remember, in the Kosciuszko County about the constitutional sanctuary. I don't know if you guys took a look at that, or if you had any issue with it or any consideration for it.
Yeah, I read it, I looked at it. Again, the paper, as it's written, I don't necessarily have a problem with it, but I think the people that would see us signing that might take it as something that it's not. That's the only thing that I don't, that I didn't like about any of these, is that I don't necessarily disagree with the content. I want people to be fully, I consider myself a constitutional, I would think everybody considers themselves a constitutional elected official, that I want to go by the Constitution. But I would hate for, to Dr. Moss's point and to other people's point, it's not my job or within my power to determine what is constitutional and what is not constitutional. So that is what I think that a couple of his comments and some of the comments from other people would be, this county won't stand behind unconstitutional laws. Well, I don't have the authority to make the determination of which law is constitutional and which law is not. And that's what and from a liability standpoint, if a person on the outside says, well, they said they're a Second Amendment county, that means they fill in the blank and they break some kind of a law that they don't find as constitutional. I don't want that on my back. I mean, those are a couple of the thoughts that I've had on it. Commissioner?
No, as far as the Kosciuszko County, it was different, more broader, I'd say. But I agree with many of the points that Chad just made, that I don't agree with making any statement to that effect, whether it's broad or whether it's narrow. The one that I think he proposed the first time that we met was much more narrow than that. I might have preferred that one over the one that Kosciuszko County had. But I don't agree with making any statement, pro or con, about that amendment to the Constitution or any other amendment to the Constitution, other than the fact that we support the Constitution and as defined by the courts.
I would say that's the determining factor as far as the Constitution goes, that if we were to pass a sanctuary county according to our Constitution, the courts are going to be the ones who ultimately decide whether or not laws passed down to us are constitutional or not constitutional. So as far as being a sanctuary county, it just sends the message that that's what we intend as a county to do, not what we intend to do as three individuals, but as a county, that we intend to abide by our Constitution and from here forward.
I did write down a couple things I was going to say for the end of the meeting, but I'll say it now. We've got, I've had multiple people contact me, and to my surprise, almost all of those people were opposed to a 2A ordinance, a 2A resolution, or anything on this line. And a few of them that stand out in my mind say, I'm a veteran. I was in Vietnam. I believe in Second Amendment rights. This is stupid. There's no reason for it. I had another one say, the Second Amendment is the Second Amendment. I mean, I guess what I'm saying is me personally voting or in favor of not doing one means that does not negate my belief in the right of people to arm themselves for a number of reasons. But here, I just want to share a couple thoughts, and I did ask the people that contacted me if I could share their thoughts, and I'll hold their names back. But our system, here's a couple thoughts, Dan, I agree with them. Our system of government provides a means by which people can dispute whether a piece of legislation is constitutional. The constitutionality of a law should be determined in a court of law, not in a police cruiser or through a county ordinance. Should the federal government or the state of Indiana pass legislation, the county or any one of its residents feels infringes on their rights, they would be within their rights to challenge said legislation before a judge. And another person said, this isn't an issue we should keep rehashing meeting after meeting. Second Amendment is the Second Amendment, and the laws are the laws. If they get changed, then those are the laws that need enforced. And this person said he didn't want it brought up every month, and for his sake, it's better settled elsewhere. And that's what I would agree on. And by my thoughts today, what I was going to bring up later would just for clarity within the community, and we had a discussion with some other departments, and just for clarity, I would say that I'm not going to be in favor of passing a 2A ordinance, and I'd say we would, I'd recommend we postpone further additional consideration on the topic for 6 months at least, or some time period, so that it isn't. There's more pressing things that I think we could bring up. So those are my thoughts, and I'm happy to keep the conversation going or end it there, whatever y'all think.
I would agree that we don't revisit this at every meeting. I think it's counterproductive. It simply stirs the pot, if you will, every time it gets brought up. And, I think it needs to go away at least for a while until something changes to cause us to want to revisit it.
I would just say if somebody wants to speak on our agenda, we've always had an open door. We let them come in, we let them speak. Be it pro 2A, pro Constitution, anti 2A, I don't think it matters. I think our door's open. I don't think it's right to tell people that we're not going to listen to this anymore. And I think just because you were contacted by more people saying they were opposed, I don't think that represents the majority of our county. There is what's called the loud minority. I think that's what you're hearing. I think the majority of the people in Dubois County would support this type of resolution. I don't think it has a whole lot of teeth. I think it just sends a message up the line that, this is Dubois County and this is how we feel. That said, if you guys are not for it, I can respect that. I respect, the both of you. And I guess all things, I don't want to shut the door to it. If somebody wants to come to our next meeting and speak about it again, pro or anti, let them speak. That's what we're here for. So that would be the only thing I would have to say.
I suppose I can be okay with that, but I think as far as us as a board, I'm not going to consider.
And I didn't bring anything new today. I didn't ask Dr. Moss to be here. This was, I suppose he called. I honestly didn't know about it until somebody called me last night and said, hey, what's Dr. Moss speaking about on the 2A? And I said, honestly, I didn't even know he was going to be here. So.
No, in his case too, I'm with you. I want people to feel free. We're here to listen to what the public has to say. We have a public comment period at the end of the meeting for anybody that ever wants to say anything at any meeting without even being on the agenda. And if they want to be on the agenda, I guess we could take that as a case-by-case basis, but everybody does have the right to, or the ability to speak at our meetings each time. And with Dr. Moss, I was talking to him. He had some questions about something with the county, and I'm the one that said, you're welcome to come in. You're welcome to talk about whatever issues you want to. I said our policy here, at least for the last 4 years, but we'll listen to anybody say anything for 15 minutes. If you have something you want to say, and he thought that he wanted to have his voice heard, I was happy to invite that. Not necessarily that I have to agree with everything that people say, but.
And I agree with the concept of having an open meeting and letting people say what they need to say, as long as it doesn't get out of hand and extend our meetings to a 2-day meeting or whatever. I mean, if we have 18 people come in and want their 15 minutes on the agenda, that's not workable. It's not workable. So I think probably the statement that Jen made that, I think part of the problem was the perception that we were still considering it and that we're still open to doing this, and that sort of thing. So I think the statement that Chad made kind of lays that to rest a little bit. And, if somebody wants to come in and speak, okay, but they know coming in that they're not likely to change anything right now.
So to this point, just so we have clarity between the three of us on the board, if Joe Smith calls tomorrow and asks Sandy, "Hey, I'd like 15 minutes to talk about 2 sanctuary counties," do we want to give her guidance that no, that isn't allowed, but he is welcome to come in during the public comment session and say what he wants?
I don't really mind either way. I mean, I stand where I stand. You guys stand where you stand. You could give them guidance that it's not likely to change anything. But I don't have problems when I come in and speak.
So your point is, do we want to allow an agenda item or during public comment? I think that I kind of lean toward the public comment, and I don't know how you necessarily do that for any other item on the agenda. If it's not something that we are already considering or something that's a normal consideration, it should be during public comment. You know, I think that's a valid point.
Because we did earlier this year in January, we passed a public comment resolution. I don't know if I think it was a resolution.
Yeah, it's a resolution.
And that's what it does. It lays out that people can come in and they're free to speak on any issue, but it also says if they want on the agenda, they can get on the agenda. So, anyway, I think the public I think today hopefully gives some clarity that we're not likely as a board to do things differently than what we said we were going to do before. I mean, I think there's clarity has been given that we're not passing into an ordinance at this time. So if people want to still come and talk, we can make those determinations. If it gets out of hand, I guess we can change what we allow on the agenda and what we don't. Good enough?
Sounds fair to me.
Okay. Next up, we have a 10:30 ambulance coordinator position discussion. So what we have here is we've had Susan Henke has resigned her position. She's retired from the hospital and is retiring from the position she had here as ambulance coordinator. So it's our duty to appoint someone to that position to take her place. I would propose that we offer the position to Ryan Young, who is the emergency room and ambulance person for the hospital currently. He is filling the role that Susan had previously. So that would be the direction I would suggest that we go. At this time, Susan has turned in old paperwork and equipment that she had. She's worked with the auditor's office on kind of clearing those things, the inventory. So that's the direction I would recommend. I'm open the floor.
I think seems to be the right direction to go. I mean, I can't say a whole lot about it. I think he seems to be the right person to take the position, and that should be the direction we go.
Yes, and I agree that, traditionally it has been that person hired at the hospital, so they went through the hiring process and they, way back when, I don't know how long he's been with the hospital in various positions that he's moved through, but he's moved into this position as a result of the hospital decision that's been made, and that's kind of traditionally been the person that we then bring on to fill the role that county supports. The brief interview, if you will, that we had with him here, I was impressed. I talked to other people who are impressed, so there's nothing that concerns me about him. And the fact that the hospital is putting him in this role, I think we need to bring him into the county role as well.
Okay. And I will go ahead and make that a motion then that we appoint Ryan Young as the Dubois County Ambulance Coordinator effective immediately.
One second.
Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. Thank you.
What was the last name again? I'm sorry.
Young.
Thank you.
Sandy, here where it says of, is that supposed to be what county he lives in, his address, or that he works at the hospital? What do you feel like it should go here? It says, we, the undersigned commissioners of Dubois County, by authority vested in us as such commissioners, do hereby appoint Ryan Young of blank as the Dubois County ambulance coordinator. His home address? Well,
Possibly, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Well, I can call and ask them what was in it previously.
so I guess I'll just leave that one here. So, pardon me?
Are there several?
Nope, just a
It's just
single
it.
one.
Hey, a minute, Sandy. On the appointment form, what goes in the line under the name? Is it the address? Okay, all right, thanks, bye. I'll get their address, we'll have to get his address.
Okay, next up, we have active shooter training discussion with Chris Walkenberg.
Oh, it's pretty quick. Good morning. How are you guys? So speaking with Tom and Tammy Humper, they kind of tasked me with putting together just training for the county employees again. We didn't do it last year, but like in years past, just doing more updated training at the courthouse and involving the annex. Anyways, I finally was able to narrow down the date with the judges where their schedule was free and there is no court on the afternoon of Monday, June 18th from 2 to 4. And if that works with you all, what my proposal would be to shut the courthouse down for just those last 2 remaining hours of the day on Monday, June 18th, 2 to 4, just to schedule that training. I think initially, just to kind of give you an idea of what we would discuss doing would be maybe like the first hour where we would actually have some discussion and actually go over what we want to do, then conduct an event, and then have a half an hour debrief after the event. So
June 18th,
June 18th,
Monday?
unless I got that wrong.
Yeah, that's what it said.
What's the matter with my calendar?
Friday.
It's a Friday.
It is a Friday. I'm sorry. Friday.
Okay. But it is the right date. Just
That would make more
Friday
sense.
instead
Yes.
of Monday.
Yes.
Makes more sense.
Courts are pretty busy Monday.
Yeah, I apologize.
No,
Friday.
I just want to clarify. I thought maybe that happens once in a while. I'm looking at 2020 instead of 2021 or something
Yes.
like that. and I
Yes.
think, maybe I've got the wrong calendar.
So generally, in the past, the courthouse is closed to the public and they got to come back the next morning for whatever their business is. And we would require employees to work the regular shift. You're not asking for any offices to be cleared out or anything like that for the training. I mean, it's best with all the employees present, just for clarification, right?
Absolutely. I think if we started essentially the training with maybe like a half an hour to 45 minutes of kind of like a discussion on what we want to do, how we're going to conduct the training, and then everybody returns to their workplace, and then we'll do the training then, and then again have a debrief like after it's done and over with. But yeah, if the more employees that can be here and be present, I mean, the better.
Sure.
That's basically where we're at. It's kind of up to y'all on as far as like closure of business. I guess that maybe that's a little bit bigger perspective than what I would give the consideration for.
What, the closing of business?
Yeah.
I mean, because, what you're gonna do essentially, the 2 of these buildings, the highway department would be open, the health department would be
just
open.
here would be shut down for business for 2 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, so we would have to advertise that, and to let the public know, but I don't have a problem with doing that.
I think there's sufficient time to give notice, so that's only 2 hours.
The bad thing is if somebody has a bill that's due a certain day by a certain time, then I think that's, can they, are there things like in your office that if somebody has to pay child support or they have to pay something, it has to be in by, there's deadlines, right, for some things?
Hey, some things there are, some things there's not. You're flexible in the idea that there is a drop box if somebody's really wanted to do that, or they could call and pay stuff over the phone. There's other options. COVID has taught us how to
Be flexible.
adapt.
Are they,
Two
do you
hours
still
is-
take payments through here?
We do. We don't like to, but we will.
Okay.
The problem with that Dropbox is they need to put all their information when they drop their money in there, but that's another story for another day.
Okay.
It's fine to accommodate for this.
Do you have, did you say a specific time?
2
2
to
to
4.
4, 2 to 4. Just out of curiosity, since we're just kind of having an open discussion about this, you guys have better ideas? Is there a better time? Is there,
The
would
only
it
thing I
be,
was thinking, just kind of following along with that, if somebody came to the courthouse during that time and said, oh, it's closed. They should, first of all, they should have paid a little more attention perhaps. Oh, it's closed.
that's
Now I
frustrating.
have to come back tomorrow morning. What if we do it 1 to 3 and they could come back at, no?
It would be my opinion, 2 to 4 is
the
there's
best
never
time.
gonna be a great time. To accommodate the court's calendar would be the first priority in my thought process.
Yeah.
I think my thought is has it ever been thought of to not close to the public and include what we would do if the public were in and out of our building in that case? I don't know.
No, hold on. She brings up an actual very valid point, because that was something that I very much want to talk to the employees, because literally when we have had a live event, okay, just say for instance, a few weeks ago, there was a highly unruly suspect that got rather argumentative with the ladies up in probation, right? They hit the panic alarm, everybody goes in, they shut everything down, tentatively did what we should have. There was some citizens that were literally just left sitting out, in the lobby, that frankly were completely clueless, or if you would consider the aspect of, say there was an active shooter or, a hostile situation going on, they were left out to fend for themselves, just, in the hallway.
Well,
And that's
to that
something-
point, like the person who was sitting in the hallway, she was told before she went in that she shouldn't. So there was some conversation to that, but if somebody was already in the hallway and so, like somebody's sitting on the bench, if nobody's, like the treasurer's office just shut the door, like they may not have seen somebody standing in the hallway there. It's another whole side of that training
Yeah,
that we need.
and that is something that we were gonna bring up, discuss.
We did stop people as, we'd stop them out here seeing that they were heading in. But then during the previous one, there was a pregnant lady outside our door. We brought her in and then we were told you shouldn't do that. So we have a lot of mixed signals.
Right. And those are all things that we wanna discuss.
I don't want the public in there unless the sheriff makes a determination. The sheriff is ultimately required to provide a security plan for the courthouse, so if he wants the public in there, then
Well,
I would consider it, but otherwise I don't think it
It's a
might.
good
Training
idea to have
purposes, I would
somebody-
prefer not. but
Somebody can play the public.
Yes,
have somebody available at the door to catch the public that's trying to enter the building. Let them know that there's a training going on, no one can enter the building right now, find out what their business is. If it happens to be something that, hey, I have to get this turned in by 4 o'clock today, or, I'm gonna be fine, whatnot, then, those things can be logged and we can, at that point, you could go back and say, this person was here, he wanted to turn in his child support, but he couldn't. He could be told to put it in the box or whatnot. Then we could cross,
Somebody at both entrances probably.
Right, that
Or
way,
3 entrances.
that way, if Monday morning he comes in and turns it in, we could say, okay, we're not gonna count yours as late because we know you were here at 2 o'clock on Friday.
I think for the role of this board would be, we set the hours for the courthouse, I would move that we approve the 2 hours, that's what,
Right.
for this training on this day. We can start there and then we can talk about details, I suppose, but, so my motion is that on June 18th, between 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock, the Dubois County Courthouse and the Dubois County Courthouse Annex be closed to the public for the purposes of a training day.
I'll second your motion.
Any other discussion?
I was just gonna kind of follow up. I agree with you on my concern of having the public in the building, and I understand the benefits of that. But if I'm the general public and I really don't have a clue as to what's going
We don't
on,
wanna
unless
scare you.
somebody stopped me,
Yeah.
unless somebody stopped me at
Absolutely.
the door and gave me forewarning, and with that
Yeah.
forewarning, is that really even beneficial then?
Right.
maybe we should get a big old banner and put it
Yeah,
out here to
there
say
needs to be
closed
something
for
else.
training.
So I don't have a problem with the motion.
So, you know, and then, so we'll just finish that. So, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? The motion carries. And, okay, yes, Sandy, you'll send that out to the press, please. And, you know, and in that case, we need the public. Mark, you can play the public. You can call the three of us. We can be the public.
Sure.
I was just thinking it would be kind of fun.
I did attend, I don't know that I was playing public, but I did attend the last one and it was very, eye-opening.
Is the city of Jasper, Indiana State Police, anybody else, or just Sheriff's Department gonna be involved in this?
Haven't really gone that far. I would definitely expect Jasper to show up. We will have it dispatched, so it will be dispatched live as a training event. So I don't doubt that a Jasper unit may show up. If a state trooper shows up, it would only be because he just happened to hear the radio traffic, maybe in the area. But I mean, I wasn't planning on orchestrating it with state. If in real life purposes, if a trooper filmed, they would show only if they happen to catch the radio traffic anyhow. So that's more real practical purpose. But just during 30 seconds, just during future thought, are we going to have any more of the like risk management trainings? Not that I love to attend them, but those will start
Actually, the
happening.
next one is scheduled to be active shooter video.
Really?
And it's a very good
Judge
video.
Burkham was,
And that was going to be my question.
started with Tom, that's what kind of prompted it.
Okay, because that would be an appropriate time that where we could do more of these in a discussion format rather than.
Actually, I'm wondering if we should send that video link out. When is our next, I mean, we've talked about this for.
Yeah, I could reactivate that online training again for anybody that would wanna see it, that was.
It was very good.
Yeah, and, you know, I think both, you know, even the satellite offices within the county, if they want to come and see it, you know, see it live, you know, you can kind of apply it to your work site as well, you know, so might not be a bad idea as well.
But at this time, we don't have a date planned for that training? For
risk management.
Well, this here was it, yeah,
We-
Tom's on the risk management team and we discussed it in conjunction with Judge Burkhamp's courthouse security team. We kind of bridged together and then I think Tom handed it over to you to kind of lead the project, so that's kind of where we're at in the process today, is just getting approval on the date and time.
We sent out that link for
Yeah,
people to view, but people didn't view it, obviously.
Yeah.
Or
ahead
some
of,
people did, not many.
Yeah, just ahead of this, just kind of put it in people's, you know, eyes and training.
So possibly in third, so this will be considered second quarter training, we'll have a third, maybe we'll have a third quarter training that's more traditional.
Yeah.
Well, we usually do it half and half a year, probably twice a year.
The fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Now, if you need anything from us or from the,
No, we'll start making it happen.
thank you.
All right, thank you guys.
Surplus copier.
We have a copier in the records library that is 11 years old. It's had several things go wrong with it over the last few years. I've had Hoosier Business Machine that they quoted us $500 to fix the thing that's broke with it right now. And they also quoted me a new machine. I went to council last week and they're advertising for approval of my new expenditure out of the clerk's perpetuation fund. I just need your blessing to scrap this copier when a new one comes in. I did ask for a trade-in allowance and they said there was nothing to give on this. I asked if maybe we could move it to a different department. It's on its last leg, but it is still spit out a few things and they didn't recommend that either because there are parts that are not available for it that could break. He said he would just, Hoosier Business Machines recommends that we scrap it. So, do you approve me
And
getting rid of
does
it?
scrapping it generally mean taking it to solid waste and they throw away?
Hoosier Business Machines will take it with them when they bring a new one to replace it with. I don't know what they do with it.
So, it's always good when somebody comes in and they have funds to pay for the thing that they want, so I'm happy about that part. If it's an old unit and it doesn't work, I don't think she'd be here if it was a good idea to keep it. So I'm in favor of considering it surplus.
I am as well. Just a thought just crossed my mind. I mean, if they'd have given you a trade-in value for it, would we be going through the same process?
Yes. Yeah, to move it out, I have to have your permission. is my
To purchase
understanding.
the new one, yes, but we wouldn't have to authorize the scrapping of the old one. They have given us $1 for it.
I would think we would.
Would we?
Yeah, it'd still be a piece of equipment that we're responsible for. Okay, so I'll move that we, declare the copier surplus, and that's all we need to do.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
I do have some other things to add. Scott has 7 file cabinets and 2 pieces of desktop glass that we've rotated around and nobody has.
He's down to one. No, he's down to one piece of glass, because the other one we put over here.
Oh, okay, you just sent me an email.
Unless he had 3 pieces previously, I thought he started with 2 and
I thought
Mark
he had
used
2.
one. Yeah, so we've got one
But
piece of glass.
he was questioning if the 7 file cabinets could maybe go to SWICAC if they needed them, when they take over the new Fifth Street, or the Fifth Street offices. But 7 file cabinets, oh, 1 piece of glass. He didn't know if Tammy Lampert could use them at their new place, if we want to donate them, if we can.
Right, declare surplus either way, correct?
Or if you donate them to some place versus if you want to just sell them, you have to put prices in.
Any preference?
I'd be happy to donate them if they need them and want them.
I'm down there at one.
If not, I mean, either way, I think we should just declare a surplus and offer them to SWICAC, and if they say, no, we don't need them, then dispose of them.
I think we probably take them to junk it and scrap them and get $3 for them.
I'd be okay with that.
Mr. Brown?
Yeah.
Oh,
We need to get rid of them. One way or another, we need to get rid
no,
of them.
Brooke took them earlier. Okay.
I don't suppose that's something that a restore or something like that would take them.
You can take them.
And you could offer them, and if they want them, they'll come pick them up.
Or you say Vincent if they want stuff like that, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I guess, we could declare them surplus and ask him to find a use for them. We can tell him not to scrap them at this time. Do we want to tell him that, or try to find a use for those 3 places, and if he doesn't, then recycle them? And Scott is the one handling this. Yeah, I move that we declare the 7 file cabinets and 1 piece of glass as surplus to be disposed of as Scott Hope sees fit.
Second.
All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. So you want me to email him, tell him what our thoughts are, or will you tell him what you see? If you want to talk to him, that's great. You can just tell him, our goal is to find a use for him, and then if not, we can recycle.
And then, I know Stuart Wilson has a couple of items, but I don't know if he has his list complete yet to be declared, so.
They get a couple wooden desks.
Wooden desks and
Desk
lamps.
lamps.
So I think it's down to 1 lamp, so, I mean, I don't know if he's ready to have that done yet or not.
So we hold one of those, and hopefully you find something to do with it. Congressional school report, are you ready, or would you like us to hold?
Every May 1st or April 30th, we have to do a balance of the Congressional School District Fund. There's $53,363.47. It has already been signed by myself and the treasurer, so it needs your approval as well.
I think I've asked this probably a dozen times, but what can this money be used for?
Nothing.
What is the point of having the money?
It was declared by the sale of the 16th Congressional Unit back in the 30s, and we have to hold it in perpetuity. The only thing that happens is twice a year, you send out the interest from the fund
And it goes, it
to
gets
the
divided
4
by
school
4.
districts, and it's a percentage. They get the same amount every year. The one has to be held in perpetuity, and then we hold the interest in another fund.
So it's the interest that's being distributed?
Yes,
The fund is.
and it's the same amount every half.
It's almost like an endowment.
It kind of is.
Is this, and it looks like it amounts to about $900 divided by 4. So,
Well, you do that distribution twice a year.
this isn't a total year? These
That's-
two?
Yes, that's the total well, one's the interest.
This one says interest paid to school $696, interest earned
Okay, you
$203.
earn that, you pay out that. You pay out that same $900 of each year. There's one CD that's $17,402. That's the actual principal. That's the actual principal. And then the other fund is all interest that's gained over all the years.
And is there one of these in every county?
I think so. If they sold, and it goes by each school district, it's different amounts because it was what was sold in each district at that time.
What was sold, what do you mean?
The 16th congressional district.
I guess I would be in favor of, if this is just kind of a ridiculous quirk that repeats over and over, if you want to ask the state board how we can get rid of it, and then we just disperse the whole amount at one time, that might be.
I don't think you can send it to school. I think it goes up to the state and they'll hold it in perpetuity.
Maybe
I think we looked
maybe
at
a
that.
legislation thing that needs to happen.
I think we looked at that once, but.
You think it's easier just to keep doing it every year and I'll ask about it again next year?
When you were the treasurer, you tied those
I
ones
know,
up.
I remember asking about it every year and it was just kind of silly.
It might be something, like I said, it might be something mentioned to a senator or a representative, say, is this something that is serving any purpose anymore? Or and have to have any reason to exist or otherwise, how do we get rid of it?
You can look at it.
There's no funds that go into it anymore, are there?
Nope, except interest.
Yeah.
Interest is the only thing that goes in and paid to the school goes out.
Probably well intentioned when it happened, but.
Probably from 1930 something. I don't know, I'm guessing, I really don't, I can't remember.
Maybe a case where I can just send an email to Shane, can you have your legislative assistant, see if there's anything, what this is or what the point of this is.
Well, and if the sale happened here in the county and it belongs to our schools, I would hope our schools got it. I wouldn't want to put it in a state fund somewhere.
I still don't know what you mean by sale, what was sold.
They sold some kind of congressional township land
Oh, I see.
in that school district, and that's what you're holding it for.
So maybe a schoolhouse, the land sold
I
or
don't-
something or what. Yeah. Okay. 11 o'clock petition to cancel property tax, Mr. Schneider.
Yes, I'd sent out an email and statute, there's been a petition that I prepared, signed off on by the auditor, treasurer, and assessor, asking that the property taxes, current, past, anything that may be associated with that property, the county purchase or service, be discharged, forgiven, zeroed out, and no future taxes be covered. Basically, a bookkeeping measure from our standpoint to get it off the tax records. And the statute changed July 1 of 2019, where you are now the body that approves that request from yourself.
That's great.
That works for us.
Too bad I couldn't do that with my home.
You could.
So I did prepare a proposed order as well, just so we can have that for our file. If this board's agreeable, motion to approve the petition and grant the order would be appreciated.
Approve the petition, grant the order.
Yep.
And I did send this to Mr. Schneider, but it looked like a great piece of legal work, and I appreciated him putting it together and being in front of that. So thank you. And I will move that we approve the petition to cancel property taxes, grant the order as presented.
A second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Anything else from the attorney this week?
Are you gonna discuss the electronic meeting thing?
I am.
I
So-
have nothing else.
Okay.
And one place.
Something I sent to Greg twice was, House Enrolled Act 1437, establishes future rules and procedures for electronic participation in public meetings. And I thought that was a fine idea. The way it works is that the board will have to adopt a written policy establishing what those procedures for electronic participation would be. From memory, I believe it states that half of the board would have to be in, at a minimum, 50% of the board has to be in person. In our case, that would mean one person could participate electronically if they needed to for a public meeting going forward. And that their electronic signature, so probably, I don't know what format that would be, maybe an email or something that has the same strength and force of an original. I thought it sounded like a good idea. I would prefer that we didn't use it unless we needed to, but I think it's good to have in case like somebody has a medical situation and you want to still participate. I think it's a worthwhile thing.
Did I understand they have to have video as well as audio?
That is correct. So there was a smaller type law, not as cumbersome as this one, or encompassing as this one. The law that Commissioner Blessinger is addressing did get passed last week. It's now Indiana Code 5-14-1.5-3.5, and it allows, so before you could always participate, but you didn't count towards a quorum and you weren't allowed to vote. With the changes from COVID last year, whenever we suspended those rules, that's basically put into the statute now. But yes, to answer your question, Commissioner Promise, you have to be visual and audio, be able to interact with the board itself. So what we've done in the past 12 months is we've done that a couple times with Zoom.
Yes.
The YouTube, and then if you also have to have the same accessibility for the public to be able to attend it as well that way.
Right. Which is a little more than what we've been doing. I don't know whether this YouTube, they don't have the audio, and they can hear it, but they can't interact.
They can chat.
You're saying they have to be able to interact? Because they don't have that right even when they're sitting here.
Because I know when I do it, I know you do it, we watch the chat bar if anybody would chat.
Yeah.
Hasn't happened once since
Nobody has.
Does that make sense though to the board that people we must have an open meeting, but that doesn't mean we don't have to give them the floor?
Well, kind of what I thought it was, but, for example, yes, if I can't attend.
Just that they can attend and observe the meeting.
There you go. That makes sense.
Attend and observe.
Yes.
Just like they could in person.
Correct.
Okay.
So you have to be able to do the same things you would do in person, and the public has to be able to do the same things they can do.
So I would have to be on some type of Zoom to where I have both the audio and video interchange.
That's correct. So it's a simultaneous
But
thing.
the public doesn't have to have that same capability.
Correct.
Okay.
So WebEx, FaceTime.
I guess.
Yeah, I was gonna say FaceTime could do it.
Would, let's, for instance, Elmer's on Zoom, does the public need to be able to see his Zoom?
I believe that what they need to see him, they need to be able to hear him.
Okay, so as long as he's
So
heard.
using the same platform obviously makes it simpler.
Yes, yes. We may have to look at that, having some kind of a Zoom capability, or maybe not Zoom, Meet or whatever version of that.
The other one's just sitting there because I didn't know what to do with it until she's done.
And we did do that earlier, I know one time,
Mhm.
around President's Day with the snow, and then we opened it up to the public to appear, to attend via Zoom as well.
Yes. Yes.
It's just a matter of changing our publication of our notices. Sharing a link.
So, I would like to direct, Mr. Schneider to put that together if, the board is not opposed. Thank you. And I got a text message here, and it doesn't have a name, I don't have the number saved in my phone, I believe it's from Dr. Moss. He has said if anyone of us has any interest in following up or having any further discussions, he's given me his phone number and his cell phone in his office. And he said he just forgot to leave his business card. And he said, thanks again for giving me some time today. So I do have that available if either of you want that. And Mr. Young, I sent him a message saying he was appointed today. He said that sounds good and he thanks us. And that's it for that. Recently, I took part in a consulting party, is what they call it, a consulting party meeting for the Mid-States Corridor project. There are 34 people, myself included, considered consulting parties. And what these are, it's just a component of the studying that's going on by those folks that we want to make sure that if any road project happens, that historical, cultural, and other important properties are not adversely impacted, and if they are, the public and the people behind it are aware of that. On the meeting, I don't know how many people were on it, but I recognized all of the people that are on the, is it Lockmuller? All Lockmuller people were on there. There were a couple, there was an official from Spencer County, and I know a private citizen that lives out by me was on the call. So there's a whole number of people that are consulting parties, and it's things that you think that they may miss. For example, if there's a small family cemetery or there's something historical happened in a certain park. So that's been going on. So if you have any questions or concerns about properties that could be impacted by this, I'd say reach out to the Lockmuller people. Through that, either their website would probably have their contact information. One thing that was odd on there was that the League Stadium it didn't have the designations that other probably less significant items in our county had. So that was something that was brought up, and I think they're going to move forward with, you want that to be protected because it's a culturally important structure here in the county. So that's that. Commissioner Ramos, I guess, how's the cell phone policy going? You doing anything with that?
Yeah, I had that on my list of things. We haven't moved a great deal. We did have a conversation with Tom Kleinhilfer about participating in some kind of committee to put that together. Markey has been gathering sample policies as I have. And so I think it's time this week that I get with Sandy and we set up some kind of a meeting to include Sheriff's Department, Health Department, and you were gonna look
I've got a list over
a
there.
list of people that are involved, and if there's any other department that we need to, dispatch or whoever it is that we need to include into our initial discussion, we'll do that. But really not much to report other than that we've been gathering information.
Great.
I will say in the sample policies that most of them that I have seen do not allow for personal use of county property.
I did reach out to the IRS and got a ruling about that page.
Yes.
You mean?
Not a ruling, just a.
You mean like 4 sentences or that thick of papers?
No.
Okay. I thought you meant like they gave you a policy.
No,
It was this big or something.
basically,
paragraph that one.
it basically doesn't say much, because they won't really tell you yes or no, they'll just say, here, read this.
You're gonna probably it'll be an interesting fact-finding mission to find out what everybody's doing and.
Yep.
I don't have any other issues on my miscellaneous stuff, so I can hand it over to whoever.
I would just remind everybody, we have the public meeting tonight at 5:30 for the regional sewer district. It's the only thing additional I have.
Nick, will you be able to open the doors? You need me to come in and do it all?
I can come open the doors if need be. Well, let me get back to you on that for sure. I want to make sure that I have my key in the truck because I don't have it on my keychain.
No, I just want to make sure.
You talking about this one?
Well, I have that one. I guess, I don't know if I have the door key, like, I guess.
This will be open.
This will be open, so yeah, I'm fine.
It's just downstairs and you have to do the key.
Right. Yep, shouldn't be a problem.
If you're here past.
What is the
8 o'clock,
purpose of this meeting?
It's just an open meeting, so the public can come in and make any kind of comment. I think she's going to roll out the maps as far as what we believe
believe the district lines will be drawn and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I don't imagine it's gonna be a real long meeting. Depends on how the public shows up.
Sure.
Tell me again when that is.
Tonight at 5:30.
Tonight at 5:30. Okay. Speaking of public meetings, there is a bike pedestrian path, a trail meeting, public meeting, Thursday I think it opens at 5, the doors open at 5. Where the maps and so forth will be set up and people can come in and ask questions and so forth with a presentation scheduled, I believe, at 6.
Yes.
Is that correct? Scheduled at 6. And that's at the cultural center, the atrium of the cultural center.
What is that?
That's the bike and pedestrian.
When? I'm sorry.
Oh, Thursday at 5 o'clock.
5:30.
5:30. Okay, 5:30. I'm sorry.
That's my calendar,
At 5:30 at the cultural center. They'll have maps set up and they've got some maps drawn out, and the last meeting we had, kind of what you said about the Mid-States Corridor, anybody have any issues here or there, or do they look right, or any changes? There were a considerable number of changes that were made. They've drawn the maps in such a way that the maps reflect bicycle path only, and what they're talking about is dedicated bicycle. When I say dedicated, I mean experienced bicyclers, because most of those are state highways. And what it'll amount to is that signage will be placed on those state highways that it is a bicycle path, and for safety reasons and so forth. Then they've got a set of paths that are bike and pedestrian, where the bike is more casual biking and pedestrians as well. Many of those are county roads that are probably presently being used for that purpose, and will probably be asked to put signage on it and that sort of thing. And then there's another set of lines that reflect multi-use paths. Bike and pedestrian, but not traffic, multi-use paths. Ones that already exist in the city of Jasper and Huntingburg, and some proposed ones like between connecting Jasper and Huntingburg, or Huntingburg and Ferdinand, Jasper and Ireland. Some of these exist or already in the plans. For example, there was one that they were talking about going from the city of, or the town of Ferdinand to the Ferdinand Forest, and they were taking it out Highway 264, but it's a multi-use path, so in other words, a path along the highway. In the discussion, we talked about the fact that the Old Town Lake is on a county road, and if it swing by there, it would take a lot of the highway off of it, and plus it would connect the Old Town Lake. And Ferdinand already has that in their plan, at least in their discussion. I don't know how much of a plan they've got, but in their discussions, to run from the town out to the Old Town Lake. So that's why I say many of those are already in discussions, and some of them already exist. So anyway, that will all be presented Thursday evening at the Cultural Center, starting at 5:30 with a presentation, I think, at 6. Want me to go on?
Yes, please.
Okay. I just made a note here, June 23rd. I think I may have said this before, but in case I didn't, June 23rd is the date of the IACC district meeting. This is the one that we had down at Mulzer Camp. The state dinner at Mulzer Camp. As far as I know, everything's going to be pretty much the same as always. There will be registration through the website, the state website, the IACC website. There'll be a golf scramble in the afternoon. And so, like I said, pretty much the same as always on June 23rd. The only other note I had on here, I sent you, Steve, I sent you an email about the logging that's going to be taking place in Crawford County. I don't know, I haven't gotten any additional contact information yet on that, but I didn't know if we had any. Is there anything that we can or need to be involved there?
Run on our roads, yeah.
You haven't been approached, I haven't been approached. No, I haven't heard that either.
I think we all got a phone call as well from a Crawford County resident concerned about it.
Yeah.
And hoping that we could do something in Dubois County to alter the route that they use to haul that.
Yeah, I think, a lot of times, I think ancient logging down in that area usually contacts us. They've been real good about, letting us know about that type of thing, so I don't know if this is another outfit or what. I think normally they're treated as an agricultural commodity, so I think it's somewhat limited on
What we can do.
yeah.
They gotta use some road, right?
Yeah, I didn't know either, I mean, on the one hand, talking about agricultural type use, we don't limit that. But on the other hand, if a coal company comes in and wants to use our roads, we do. And I didn't know whether there was something in between there or which way they fell into that, I didn't know.
Yeah, obviously, if a fully loaded log truck is coming down Borden Hill, that's a very steep, very tight intersection for them to have to come in and out of, especially if there's gonna be quite a few trucks there. So obviously, that would be one area of concern, that probably should be discussed with them, but as far as keeping them off, I don't know if we can do that.
I think Crawford County's preference is that they would go east and come out near the Schwartz's restaurant.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that road condition is like, it may be gravel for all I know, part of what they're using. But I think there's a bridge somewhere in there that's an issue. And I think the way Dan, the commissioner in Crawford County, indicated they were willing to work with them on that bridge.
Okay.
And make that work, but they didn't want to do that, so. Anyway, if I get any contact information, find out who's doing the work, I'll let you know.
Okay.
I think that's all I have.
I did want to just mention our mask policy in the county. I didn't know if we want to continue to require each of our employees to continue wearing masks, or if we want to make a consideration for those who are vaccinated to allow them after their 2 weeks, after their final shot, to go ahead and remove the mask and come to work and not be required to wear it anymore. And maybe just a few more weeks, once everybody's had that opportunity to be vaccinated, to just remove the mandate to wear it in our buildings altogether. Because at that point, everyone who has had the opportunity to be vaccinated should have been able to get one, and therefore we could lift that mandate and let people use their own, let them decide on their own whether they want to wear it or not wear it.
I think the way I feel would be that like Sean said earlier, we have a large number of people that have at least had their first shot. And I think probably within a month from now, we will have everybody that wanted a shot had the opportunity to get it. And I'd be fine with loosening things probably at that point. Skipping the middle point, maybe, because I think if you say, well, you don't have to, but you do have to because of your personal choice. I don't know. I think that might cause trouble, but if it goes from everybody must wear it to everybody doesn't, you don't have to anymore, I think that might be a better transition, I guess.
I think we're encouraging people to get the vaccine, and if we straight up remove the mask, we remove the incentive to go get the vaccination. I think by doing it a little bit earlier and having the vaccination be an incentive to remove the mask, we'll have more people vaccinated.
Are you saying that?
I would say if it were up to me and it was my decision, I would tell everyone who works for Dubois County, if you have had your second vaccine, it's been 2 weeks, you are fully vaccinated, you do not have to wear your mask tomorrow to work. That's what I would say. If you have not been fully vaccinated or you're still within that window, I would say that you need to remain masked until 2 weeks after your second shot, or it's the Johnson & Johnson shot, I believe 2 weeks after. your own
Would you do that on the honor system, or would you have them,
They have vaccination cards, so I mean, they could do it on the vaccination card. And I feel like, kind of in this room right now, we're, for the most part, all socially distanced. I'm vaccinated, you're vaccinated. I don't know about the rest of the people in this room, but I don't see the need for it anymore.
I would rely on some guidance from the health department and state. I know the state has removed the mask mandate in more in business settings. I don't know what they're doing in their buildings.
They're still requiring the state facilities at this point.
And so I think I would have a tendency to follow the guidelines.
I think if you walk into any office right now, you're gonna have a handful of people that are already following the policy I just suggested.
I don't doubt that.
So I don't know why we don't just make it policy instead of basically telling them.
What do you think from somebody that's in the office all the time? At the courthouse at least?
Well, in my office, if I'm sitting at my desk, I take it off. As
Right.
soon as somebody walks in, I put it back on. When we
Which
walk
is
up
what-
to each other, we have it on.
And I would say you're still, if the rule would change, you're still welcome to do that. I just think it would be kind of nice for people to be able to make up their own mind.
Now, I do know, once the mask mandate was relaxed by the state, we're handing out more masks now because people don't wear them in the
They're
building.
not bringing them with
And
them.
we have no idea if they're vaccinated or not.
So would you still require all the public to still wear a mask?
I think I would. For maybe an additional few weeks until everyone's had the opportunity to get the vaccination. And at that point, you go on the honor system, and if they wear it or they don't wear it, that's kind of up to them. Once we're all vaccinated, if everyone in this room is vaccinated, our risk is so, we got a 99% chance of not getting it, and if we get it, it would be mild.
Yeah, I think I'd like a recommendation from the health department. Is what I'd like.
I know that the health department is still required because they're a vaccine site.
Well,
They have to wear them
But-
regardless.
Yeah, and that
but
would
what
be a
they do
little
there and
different
what they might
situation.
recommend elsewhere might be different.
Right, I know what you're saying.
I just feel like it's saying in your office, just as an example, if everyone in your office is vaccinated, there's no reason for you guys to be wearing the mask anymore. I know they're not comfortable.
But we still have people who walk in and we don't know.
But that is not, this isn't protecting you from them. The vaccine is.
I understand.
And if you don't feel comfortable not wearing it, you have a right to wear it. What I'm saying is, if you don't feel comfortable wearing it, you should have a right to take it off as well.
I'm just trying to think of how it works in practice. If you have, we don't have a rule that nobody has to wear it, but if we say employees, some employees don't have to, and you get a certain person from the public coming in, why didn't you wear it, or why is he wearing it? I don't know if it's part of the problem.
I wouldn't see why, but.
You know, based on where we're at now, I get what you're saying. I just don't know where we'll be. 2 months from now, or, you look at the pandemic worldwide and what's going on in India and Brazil and those places, and you say, can it come back? I don't know. Can a variant come back to where my shot is no longer good? I don't know, and I don't know where we're going to be in a couple of months from now. So kind of what scares me is the yo-yo going back and forth, and I don't know. That's why I would rely on an expert recommendation somewhere.
And I'm probably really close to where you're at. I would just say,
I just think if we told our employees, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think they're right to just take them off.
I think you're probably right.
I think some are,
And
some
I
aren't.
think, but
You
it's,
still have some scared that they're gonna get it and.
I totally understand that, Sandy, but like I said before, you can still wear it. Nobody's telling you you can't wear it. We're telling you you don't have to. That's my opinion.
So on the other hand,
What's the point of the vaccine if we're gonna keep wearing masks forever? I mean, they're not even effective. Our numbers went up after we required masks in the state of Indiana. They went down in the state of Texas after they removed the mandate. So where's the science behind the efficiency of these masks or efficacy of these masks? You know, there just isn't any. CDC guidance right now says that you can have gatherings with vaccinated people. So, you know, we're vaccinated people. Why can't we gather without masks? You know, it's a CDC guidance. I don't need somebody else to read it to me. You know,
I would say that I did read stuff that says that it's more effective to have masks than it is. And
I
would
don't
argue that-
disagree during the main part because it does, you know, the respiratory droplets, but, you know, it's just, we're getting vaccinated now, the numbers are, you know, Sean read us the numbers earlier, I'd say in 2 weeks, so we're doing 180, 190 shots a day. I would assume that's probably pretty close to Dubois County numbers. Obviously, that's just our health department, but, you know, I got my shot in Pike County, not for any other reason, that was the earliest I could get one.
It probably balances out.
So I'd say it balances out, but I'd just like to see us, you know, start to move back to some sort of normalcy.
I would say that I will be prepared. One thing that bothers me is at the beginning of the meeting, we said we're under a public emergency still till the 5th of next month. I would say when that if at that time, if at that meeting, that's what I'd probably say. But unless numbers, just something really crazy happens in the next month, I would be fine with just saying, it's an advisory
I can
thing.
walk into Walmart, I can walk into a grocery store, I can go to Roll King and not have to wear a mask, but I gotta wear a mask to sit through this meeting with 6 people in the room.
Right.
No, I agree that, that's a public emergency through the end of the month. I don't know where we go after that, you know. For one thing, what is that public emergency is not only saying something about where we're at with the pandemic, it's also a financial thing and what, you know, what things that enables the county to do. So I guess what I'm saying, and aside from the whole mask thing, how are we going to determine next month whether or not we continue it another month? What's going to be the determining factor in that?
For me, it's gonna be the numbers of, if we keep having 2 people a day on average that are testing positive for COVID, I would say that's even within the margin of error, that those people may be false positives, you don't know. I would say that I'll if the numbers stay as low as they are, I'd be fine with being done with that.
And are we losing any benefits?
I don't think we're losing any benefits.
But in,
And by and large, we were just following suit with the governor's orders.
Yeah.
And again, he renewed it last week for the month of May.
Yeah.
So we followed suit there. I think from a funding standpoint, I don't know what future funding there may be, but again, we've got a bulk coming in right now, so.
I'm with you. It's time to, if things don't get worse, time to be done with it because the public has had their fill of it. The numbers are showing that
It's definitely on the way.
We're on the right path, and I'd be happy, I think, on the 5th or whatever, 7th of next month, I'd be probably done with the whole of it. But I think while we're still under this emergency, then I'm fine with keeping it.
Yeah.
You're gonna be okay with that? So that's that. Sandy, do you have any business today?
Mary brought over, that's the updated jail spreadsheet instruction. Today I am gonna be working with Old National Wealth to set up the trust account. Guess on Thursday we'll be selling bonds, so.
Anything else from the auditor? All right. Any other comments from the public? Okay, not seeing any. Mr. Schneider, you have nothing else? No, sir. Okay, we can close it up.